Chapter 159. Ling Xiao left the spiritual medicine hall and walked along the street while thinking. He found out from Shi Wuxin that the people from the Wanshou sect had arrived at the capital city. Without a doubt, the capital city was targeting Ling Xiao. Although they had not found out the cause of Elder Kuan-Shi's death, it was only a matter of time before they found out about the Changsun sect and Ling Xiao. After all, Elder Kuan-Shi's death was the center of attention. Although the disciples of the Changsun sect were ordered to keep their mouths shut, it was inevitable that they would leak the news. Moreover, Shi Wuxin had also died at Ling Xiao's hands. The news would spread to the capital city soon. By then, there would be a battle between the Wanshou sect and Ling Xiao. He Qing, a celestial realm elite? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed, revealing a glimmer of light. Even if the Wanshou sect did not come looking for him, Ling Xiao decided to strike first to gain the upper hand. Moreover, he was sure that the leader of the Wanshou sect, He Qing, was a genuine celestial realm elite. Ling Xiao was still not a match for a celestial realm elite, so he had to plan carefully. First, I have to find out where the people from the Wanshou sect are now. Ling Xiao thought to himself. Unknowingly, Ling Xiao had walked along the street for a long time. There were many restaurants on both sides of the street, and the shops were bustling with people. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed, and he saw a very grand restaurant in front of him. Tai Bai Restaurant? Is it the property of the Li family? The corner of Ling Xiao's mouth twitched as he remembered the Tai Bai token in his pocket. He smiled and walked toward Tai Bai Restaurant. Was there a better place to gather information than a restaurant? Tai Bai Restaurant looked very grand, much better than the restaurants around it. The people who ate here were either rich or noble, so he should be able to gather a lot of useful information. Sir, please come in. As soon as he saw Ling Xiao walking towards Tai Bai Restaurant, the eyes of the waiter at the entrance lit up, and he hurriedly invited Ling Xiao in. Sir, our Tai Bai Restaurant is the best restaurant in the capital city. We have everything from flying in the sky, swimming in the water, and crawling on the ground. We also have many delicacies made from precious demon beasts. We guarantee that you will be satisfied. The waiter smiled as he led Ling Xiao into the restaurant. The interior of Tai Bai Restaurant was very spacious. Hundreds of tables and chairs were placed in the hall on the first floor. At the moment, the hall was filled with guests. Everyone was toasting each other, and it was very noisy. On the far right, there was a staircase that led to the second floor. There were 2 Dragon Tiger realm martial artists guarding the staircase. Their eyes were like hawks as they indifferently scanned the people in the hall. I want to go to the second floor. Ling Xiao looked at the waiter and smiled. Second floor? The waiter was taken aback, and a trace of embarrassment appeared in his eyes. With a bitter smile, he said, Young master, the second floor is generally reserved for people with status in the capital city. They are all regular customers of Tai Bai Restaurant. Ordinary people can't go up. Young master, you... The meaning of the waiter's words was self-evident. Ling Xiao was dressed in ordinary clothes. Although he had an extraordinary aura, he did not seem to be someone of high status, so he could not go up to the second floor. Your Tai Bai Restaurant really has a lot of rules. Is this okay? Ling Xiao smiled faintly and took out the Tai Bai token. After seeing the Tai Bai token, the waiter's expression changed instantly. So it's the second master's distinguished guest. I was blind. Young master, follow me. With this, of course you can go up to the second floor. The waiter's face was instantly filled with an attentive and even flattering smile. He led Ling Xiao to the second floor without any obstruction. The second floor looked much quieter. There were only a dozen tables and chairs, and there were also some private rooms. At the moment, there were many people sitting in them. However, from the way they dressed, they were indeed rich and respectable. Moreover, they spoke elegantly and softly. They would not disturb others. Ling Xiao chose a seat by the window and casually ordered some wine and dishes. The waiter respectfully retreated. Outside the window, the sun was shining brightly, and there was a clear, small lake. The slightly cold wind blew, clearing Ling Xiao's mind and making him feel much more comfortable. His mental strength spread out and enveloped the entire Tai Bai Restaurant. In the restaurant, Ling Xiao could clearly hear the conversations of the people there. Behind the hall on the first floor, 7 to 8 burly men in martial arts attire were sitting together. At this moment, they seemed to have drunk too much. All of them were flushed and chatting loudly. Did you know? I heard that the little princess, Xia Hongxiu, came back from the Sun-Moon Star sect today. Rank 5 Tiger Beast pulled the carriage and Vermilion Bird camp guards. That's called imposing, TSK. The little princess is back? I heard that she was accepted as a disciple by an elder of the Sun-Moon Star sect. Now, she is the last disciple of the Sun-Moon Star sect. At the age of 16, she has already reached the 9th level of the Dragon Tiger realm. This kind of talent is simply shocking. Why did she come back? I heard that it's to participate in the Great Barren Ancient Kingdom's sacrificial ceremony. However, I heard that there is another reason, Oh? What's the reason? Do you know the Demon King? The one who was known as one of the 2 great geniuses of the Great Barren Ancient Kingdom, Ling Zhen? Demon King Ling Zhen? Who doesn't know? It is said that he and the king were good brothers when they were young. They trained together and experienced many dangers together. Later on, he played a crucial role in the king's ascension to the throne. Therefore, after the king ascended to the throne, Ling Zhen was also given the title of Demon King Ling Zhen. Didn't the Demon King suddenly disappear 3 years ago? What does the little princess's return have to do with the Demon King Ling Zhen? You don't know this, right? Demon King Ling Zhen only has one son, and that's the infamous good-for-nothing Ling Xiao. The little princess and Ling Xiao were born on the same day, same month, and same year, so His Majesty and Ling Zhen had already arranged for them to be betrothed to each other. They'll get married when they're 16. What? The little princess wants to marry that big trash, Ling Xiao? What ability does he have? I heard that big trash, Ling Xiao, was born with blocked veins. It is very difficult for him to cultivate. He will be a cripple his entire life. 3 years ago, after the Demon King disappeared, Ling Xiao was sent to a small sect. In fact, he was banished. Isn't that right? Ling Xiao is such a trash. How could the little princess be willing to marry him? Therefore, I heard that the little princess returned to the capital this time to annul the engagement with Ling Xiao. Annul the engagement? Fuck, this is a huge humiliation. No matter how much of a trash Ling Xiao is, he won't be able to take it, right? So what if he can't take it? He is still in that small sect. There is no Demon King Ling Zhen backing him up. What can he do? If he doesn't agree, I'm afraid he will lose his life. I heard that even the king has silently agreed to this matter. I remember now. The Ling family's year-end competition is in 3 days. It is said that the Ling family's great elder, Ling Yunxiang, intends to let his grandson, Ling Tianxi, inherit the title of Demon King Ling Zhen. Therefore, he spread the news in advance. As long as he can obtain first place in the year-end competition, he will be able to inherit the title of Demon King Ling Zhen. The king has also agreed to this matter. Big trash Ling Xiao is too pitiful. Not only will the engagement be annulled, even the title of Demon King Ling Zhen will be snatched away. What can he do? Who asked him to be a trash? Say, the Demon King Ling Zhen is so talented. How could he give birth to such a trash son? Although that Ling Tianxi isn't one of the 5 young masters of the capital, he is still at the 9th level of the Dragon Tiger realm. It is said that it is very likely that he will break through to the master stage within 3 years. When that time comes, he will be the 6th young master of the capital. Chapter 160. Annulling the marriage and taking away my right to inherit the title of Demon Monarch? I didn't expect to encounter such a ridiculous situation. Ling Zhao's lips curled into a cold smile. If he was still the useless Ling Xiao, he would be powerless and could only die in humiliation. No one would sympathize with him. However, he was not the useless Ling Xiao from 3 years ago. He was the sky-devouring supreme, Ling Xiao. Since I've obtained your physical body, I'll help you solve these problems. However, even if the marriage is annulled, it will not be Xia Hongxiu's turn. Ling Xiao smiled faintly as a sharp light flashed in his eyes. Despite his calm state of mind, he could not help but feel a surge of anger. Xia Hongxiu was a genius, the most beloved princess of the great wilderness king. At the same time, she was a true disciple of the Sun-Moon-Star sect. Ling Xiao could understand why she did not want to marry him. However, her mistake was that she had chosen the most humiliating way to annul her engagement with Ling Xiao. Which man in the world could tolerate this? Now that the demon monarch was missing, Ling Xiao could not even protect himself. Even if he was 16 years old, Ling Xiao would not dare to ask Xia Hongxiu to marry him. However, Xia Hongxiu was undeniably arrogant. She was so arrogant that she did not care about Ling Xiao's life and death. If Ling Xiao was really the useless Ling Xiao of the past, he would have vomited 3 liters of blood and died from shame and anger. As for Ling Yunxiang and Ling Tianxi, they dared to touch the title of demon monarch and tried to harm Ling Xiao time and time again. In Ling Xiao's heart, Ling Yunxiang and Ling Tianxi were no different from dead people. 3 days later, it would be their time of death. Ling Xiao's mind spun, and he quickly suppressed all his emotions and calmed down. At this moment, he also heard about the whereabouts of the Wan Shou sect. It turned out that the Wan Shou sect did not hide their tracks. Instead, they came to the royal capital in the name of bringing their disciples to cultivate and experience the local customs of the great wilderness ancient kingdom. Although the ancient kingdom of desolation was surprised by the arrival of the Wan Shou sect, they still arranged for them to stay at the relay station and served them well. In the past few days, the disciples of the Wan Shou sect had been wandering around the royal capital, exchanging pointers with the younger generation of the royal capital and making a name for themselves. The 5 princes of the royal capital were the 5 grandmasters below the age of 30 in the royal capital. They were the representatives of the younger generation of the Great Desolation Ancient Kingdom. Moreover, there were rumors that the disciples of the Wan Shou sect were about to challenge the royal capital's 5 princes. Ling Xiao also heard a piece of useful information from the crowd. Among the disciples of the Wan Shou sect, there was a true disciple named Shi Tianluo. He had the heavenly serpent bloodline and was extremely talented. He was considered an expert in the Grandmaster realm. Snake descent. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. This Shi Tianluo was Shi Tian Xian's brother. Once the news of Ling Xiao killing Shi Tian Xian reached Shi Tianluo's ears, the two of them would definitely have a battle to the death. Ling Xiao was already thinking about how to get rid of these people from the Wan Shou sect. Brother, may I sit here? Just as Ling Xiao was thinking, a hearty voice rang out and interrupted his thoughts. Ling Xiao raised his head and saw a young man in his 20s. He was dressed in white and had a handsome face and a slender figure. He exuded a gentle aura and had a faint smile on his face. Ling Xiao could also see that although this young man was only 21 or 22 years old, he was already at level 9 of the Dragon Tiger realm. I'm Li Chengfeng from the Li family. The owner of the Tai Bai token in your hand is my second uncle. The young man smiled and explained. So it's brotherly. Please take a seat. Ling Xiao nodded and said, Pardon me for asking, but this Tai Bai token belongs to my uncle. May I know why you have it? Li Chengfeng asked with a smile. Ling Xiao said, I have some connections with Master Jiao Mu. I met old man Sanju in the spiritual medicine hall. We hit it off, so he gave me the Tai Bai token. The corner of Li Chengfeng's mouth twitched. The Tai Bai token was not some cabbage. Why would Li Ling give it to this young man just because they hit it off? The Tai Bai token was the most honorable symbol of the Li family. In the entire Li family, only the head of the Li family and Li Ling each had one. Li Chengfeng was very curious why Li Ling would give such a precious token to a young man. However, Li Ling and Master Jiao Mu were indeed close. This young man should be Master Jiao Mu's nephew. So that's how it is. My apologies. How should I address you? Li Chengfeng asked curiously. Li Chengfeng was curious about Ling Xiao's identity. Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Ling Xiao. Li Chengfeng was stunned. Then, a strange expression appeared on his face. After all, Ling Xiao was too famous. Almost everyone in the capital knew that the Demon King's son, Ling Xiao, was a famous piece of trash. And this young man in front of him was also called Ling Xiao. He looked to be 15 or 16 years old. Could it be? Li Chengfeng shook his head and laughed in his heart. The young man in front of him had an extraordinary aura, and his cultivation had reached the 3rd level of the spirit transformation realm. How could he be the big piece of trash Ling Xiao? Ling Xiao seemed to have seen through Li Chengfeng's thoughts. Brother Li, you guessed right. I am the Ling Xiao you're thinking of. Cough cough, Li Chengfeng coughed, a trace of shock in his eyes. Brother, are you really the little prince of the Demon King's estate, that Ling Xiao? This news was too shocking. If the people of the capital knew that the big piece of trash in their eyes had returned, and not only was he not a piece of trash, but he was also a talented young man, what kind of expression would they have? It is indeed me, Ling Xiao said calmly, not showing the slightest hint of displeasure. I'm sorry, Brother Ling. This news is just too shocking. A trace of apology appeared on Li Chengfeng's face. He smiled bitterly and said, everyone was still discussing whether or not Brother Ling would come back to participate in the Ling family's end-of-year competition. I didn't expect Brother Ling to really come back, and even have cultivation. However, why did Brother Ling have to come back and get involved in this mess? The little princess has also returned. In Li Chengfeng's opinion, Ling Xiao's talent was extraordinary for him to be able to break through to the 3rd level of the spirit transformation realm. However, it was still too difficult for someone at the 3rd level of the spirit transformation realm to compete with Ling Tianxi. Furthermore, Ling Xiao was not only facing Ling Tianxi, but also the proud daughter of heaven, Xia Hongxiu. What will come will come. Blindly avoiding it is not a good idea. Since I can't avoid it, why not face it calmly? Chapter 161. A look of admiration appeared on Chengfeng's face as he said, Brother Ling, you're really broad-minded. It's a pity that the world is ignorant, thinking that Brother Ling's martial arts talent has long been lost. However, they don't know that Brother Ling has been silently cultivating. Even if Brother Ling loses to Ling Tianxi, I still believe that Brother Ling will definitely become a true expert in the future. Obviously, even Chengfeng didn't think that Ling Xiao could win against Ling Tianxi in the year-end competition. After all, the difference between the two was too great. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and didn't explain anything. The two slowly conversed. Chengfeng was the young master of the Li family, so he was very clear about the situation in the capital. Ling Xiao obtained a lot of useful information from him. Moreover, Chengfeng was an honest person and felt like old friends at first sight. He didn't hide anything from Ling Xiao, which made Ling Xiao have a good impression of him. Not long after, a pretty maid in a green dress ran up to the 2nd floor, panting. When she saw Chengfeng, her eyes instantly lit up. Young master, so you're here. Master asked me to call you back. He said there's an urgent matter. The pretty maid looked innocent and cute, her big eyes watery as she spoke to Chengfeng. Then she looked curiously at Ling Xiao. Father is looking for me? Chengfeng was slightly stunned, then looked apologetically at Ling Xiao. Brother Ling, I feel like old friends at first sight and can't wait to talk through the night. However, my father has something to discuss, so I have to excuse myself. Brother Ling, you can stay in Tai Bai restaurant for the next 2 days. When I'm done, I'll come and talk to you again. No problem, Brother Li, go ahead. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Chengfeng got up and hurriedly left with the pretty maid. At this moment, it was already evening. The number of people in Tai Bai restaurant gradually increased. Even the 2nd floor was filled with people. Outside the window, the sun was setting in the west, scattering a golden afterglow. It shone on the small lake outside the window, making it look very beautiful. Ling Xiao drank alone and appeared to be very carefree. The wine was the Tai Bai drunk wine that was unique to the Tai Bai restaurant. It was said that this Tai Bai drunk wine was brewed from the Li family's ancestral recipe and was one of the most famous wines in the royal capital. The Tai Bai drunk wine that Ling Xiao was drinking was specially ordered by Li Chengfeng. It was a 50-year-old Tai Bai drunk wine with a strong aroma that lingered in one's mouth. It also contained traces of the essence of spiritual herbs. Traces of warmth flowed through one's body, making one feel indescribably comfortable. Right at this moment, a young master in an embroidered jade robe appeared. His appearance was rather handsome, but his lips were very thin, his eyes were long and narrow, and his face revealed an arrogant expression. He had the bearing of someone who lived like a prince. He held a folding fan in his hand and walked up to the second floor with two pretty maids following behind him. The brocade-clothed youth looked around and saw that the seats were already filled with people. He immediately frowned. "Young Master Chen, the second floor is full. Why don't you wait for a while?" The waiter who led the youth in embroidered clothes over said carefully. "Put." A crisp sound rang out. The youth in embroidered clothes gave the waiter a big slap, directly slapping half of the waiter's face until it was swollen. "Blind bastard, you dare to make this young master wait? Do you believe that I won't tear down your Thai restaurant?" The youth in embroidered clothes scolded with a cold smile on his face. His gaze swept across the people on the second floor. He knew most of them, and they were all people of status in the royal capital. However, when his gaze swept past Ling Xiao, a cold smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. "I want that seat. Tell him to scram. I'll take care of all the dishes." The youth in embroidered clothes pointed at Ling Xiao and said arrogantly. Ling Xiao knew this waiter. It was the waiter who led him here. He stood up from the ground and covered half of his face with his hand. He smiled bitterly and said, "Young Master Chen, that young master is also an important guest. The young master instructed us to treat him well. Why don't I help you change to another private room? Young Master Chen, why don't you come and sit with me? Young Master Chen, come to my place. It's a blessing of 3 lifetimes to be able to see young Master Chen." That's right. Young Master Chen's brother is one of the 5 young masters of the royal capital. Young Master Chen is also a dragon among men. The youth in embroidered clothes' clamor immediately attracted the attention of the people on the second floor. Immediately, someone stood up and smiled politely at the youth in embroidered clothes. Even those who did not stand up nodded their heads in greeting. The youth in embroidered clothes was called Chen Zitao. He was the son of the great general. Chen Zitao's brother, Chen Fengdao, was one of the 5 young masters of the royal capital. He was a famous young martial scholar and was the best among his peers. Regardless of family background or status, Chen Zitao was enough to make people value him and even flatter him. However, only Ling Xiao was still sitting there and drinking. His expression was indifferent as he looked out of the window. He had no intention of looking here. The anger in Chen Zitao's heart suddenly burned. He was already in a bad mood today. He was scolded by his father because he did not cultivate seriously. He wanted to come out and relax, but there was no seat for him in Thai restaurant. What was even more abominable was that this youth did not quickly and respectfully give up his seat after hearing his name. What a bastard! "No, I want that seat," Chen Zitao insisted. The coldness in his eyes became more and more intense. The waiter was on the verge of tears. He could not afford to offend the guests on both sides. He could only suffer in the middle. However, Chen Zitao did not continue to make things difficult for the waiter. Instead, he walked towards Ling Xiao. "Brat, give up your seat. These dishes are on me. Scram." Chen Zitao walked in front of Ling Xiao and said coldly, "You." Ling Xiao slowly turned his head. His eyes revealed a trace of indifference. "Who do you think you are? How dare you ask this young master to give up his seat to you?" Chen Zitao's face instantly turned gloomy. The surrounding people also looked at Ling Xiao in surprise. This youth was really bold. He actually dared to speak to Chen Zitao like that? It had to be known that Chen Zitao was not a kind person. He had bullied many people in the capital. If he was unhappy, he might even break the youth's legs and throw him out. Everyone whispered to each other, and their gazes towards Ling Xiao began to show signs of sympathy. "Very good." Chen Zitao sneered and said, "This is the first time someone has dared to scold me. Kid, you have guts. Now I've changed my mind. Kneel down and kowtow 100 times. Then, get lost and I'll spare your life. Otherwise..." Chen Zitao's voice was gloomy. The threat was self-evident. "I'll give you 2 choices. Either kowtow 100 times and get lost, or I'll break all your limbs and throw you out." Ling Xiao looked at Chen Zitao indifferently. He also felt a bit helpless. There were many hedonistic young masters in the capital. This Chen Zitao looked like he was only at the 7th or 8th layer of the spirit transformation realm, but he was so arrogant. Chapter 162. P.S. Muyu came back from overtime today and felt sore all over. She was dizzy and had a bad cold, so this chapter was only written now. Sorry, brothers. Chen Zitao's expression instantly became extremely cold. His eyes flashed with killing intent as he sneered. Very good, this is the first time someone has dared to speak to me like this. I'm very curious, where does a brat at the 3rd level of the spirit transformation realm like you get the confidence to speak to me like this? Boom. A powerful aura emanated from Chen Zitao's body, and a cold aura locked onto Ling Xiao. Brat, open your eyes a little wider next time. Not everyone is someone you can afford to offend. Chen Zitao's right hand reached out toward Ling Xiao. His fingers emitted a faint silver light that was as sharp as an eagle's claw. Ling Xiao's expression didn't change. He picked up a cup of wine and slowly tasted it. It was as if he didn't care about Chen Zitao's attack at all. Seeing that Chen Zitian's hand was about to reach for Ling Xiao's head, Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a hint of sharpness. He opened his mouth and shot out a white water arrow. Bang! The air trembled slightly, and the water arrow exploded. Chen Zitao felt a pain in his palm, as if he had been bitten by a poisonous snake. His expression changed drastically, and his palm had already turned a little green. Cold True Chi. Who the hell are you? Chen Zitao's expression was very ugly and there was a hint of dread in his eyes. Only now did he realize that the youth before him wasn't as simple as he had thought. Ling Xiao faintly smiled and didn't answer him. Instead, he gently sent out a palm that was surrounded by a golden light. In an instant, the golden light shrouded Chen Zitao. The seemingly gentle palm actually exploded with an incomparably ferocious force, like the roar of a mountain or a tsunami. Boom! Chen Zitao let out a miserable scream as his body flew out. He coughed out a mouthful of blood and several of his ribs were broken. In the end, he fell heavily to the ground. This was also because Ling Xiao had held back. Otherwise, with Ling Xiao's strength that was comparable to a vicious beast's, one palm would have been enough to turn Chen Zitao into a bloody mist. When you're being arrogant in the future, open your eyes. Not everyone is someone you can afford to offend. This young master loves to teach you rich second generations a lesson. Now, are you going to roll out of Tai Bai restaurant yourself, or do you want me to throw you out of the window? Ling Xiao stood up and said with a smile. Everyone in the surroundings revealed an incomparably shocked expression. Ling Xiao looked like he was only at the 3rd level of the spirit transformation realm, but he was able to seriously injure Chen Zitao, who was at the 9th level of the spirit transformation realm. This kind of talent and combat strength was simply terrifying. But Chen Zitao's older brother was Qin Fengdao, one of the royal capital's 5 princes. Not only was his talent extraordinary, but his heart of martial arts was also extremely firm. He was known as a madman. Although Chen Fengdao's cultivation wasn't the highest among the 5 young masters, he was definitely the most difficult to deal with. Although Ling Xiao's combat strength was not bad, compared to Qin Fengdao, there was still a huge gap. Wasn't he afraid that Qin Fengdao would come back and settle the score with him? Chen Zitao got up from the ground and coughed violently. His eyes were filled with coldness as he said, "Good boy, I was wrong. Do you dare to leave your name?" Ling Xiao sneered and said, "What? Do you want to threaten me?" Chen Zitao let out a sinister laugh and said, "Boy, you should know that there is always someone better than you. Although I'm not your opponent, there are many people in the royal capital who are stronger than you. This young master will remember today's matter and will definitely repay you in the future. I think you're still not being honest." Ling Xiao faintly smiled and grabbed at Chen Zitao with his palm. A faint golden light spread out and emitted a trace of sharp fluctuation. Chen Zitao's expression changed greatly. This grab contained a terrifying aura that made his scalp tingle. He immediately roared, "Boy, you dare to make a move against me? My brother will definitely not let you go." Boom. Ling Xiao's expression didn't change. His palm came through the air and instantly grabbed Chen Zitao's neck. This scared the 2 maids that Chen Zitao had brought. "Your brother, Qin Fengdao? I really want to fight with him. But now, it seems like you didn't choose to scram. Since that's the case, I'll send you on your way." Ling Xiao smiled faintly. His palm was like steel, squeezing Chen Zitao until his face turned red. There was even a trace of fear in his eyes. Boom. In the next moment, Ling Xiao swung his hand and instantly Chen Zitao's body flew out horizontally. He passed through the window on the second floor and was directly thrown into the lake outside. "Boy, just you wait. I won't let you go." Chen Zitao was soaked in ice water and his entire body shivered. He glared at Ling Xiao with hatred and left behind a vicious sentence before turning around and running away. He had already secretly remembered Ling Xiao's appearance and was determined to teach this boy a lesson. How dare he not take him, the second young Master Qin, seriously? He was simply tired of living. Ling Xiao didn't take it to heart. He glanced indifferently at Chen Zitao's two maids, causing them to tremble in fear. However, Ling Xiao didn't make things difficult for them and allowed them to leave. The waiter who had been beaten black and blue walked up and smiled bitterly. He lowered his voice and said, "Young Master Ling, you have to be careful in the future. That second young Master Qin is famous in the royal capital for seeking revenge for the smallest grievance. You've humiliated him today, so he definitely won't let this matter rest." The waiter was secretly pleased that Ling Xiao had beaten up Chen Zitao, but he didn't dare to show it on his face. "No worries." Ling Xiao smiled faintly. He didn't take it to heart that he had beaten up a spoiled brat like Chen Zitao. The surrounding diners all looked at Ling Xiao with different expressions. They were all whispering to each other. Some were sympathetic, some were gloating, and some were indifferent. Ling Xiao didn't care about the gazes of the bystanders. He leisurely finished his Tai-Bai drunk and got up to leave. At this moment, the sky was gradually darkening. Tai-Bai brothel had already prepared a room for Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao didn't stand on ceremony and directly stayed in Tai-Bai brothel. In the room, Ling Xiao sat cross-legged and slowly adjusted his breathing. His entire body's energy had been adjusted to a perfect state. When the moon was high in the sky and the full moon outside the window spilled a clear and cold light, Ling Xiao opened his eyes. Lightning flashed in the air. Ling Xiao's eyes were dignified and mysterious. There was a golden light flowing in them, but they returned to normal after a moment. Ling Xiao jumped off the bed and retracted his aura. His entire body was like a stone, without any signs of life. Ling Xiao changed into a set of black night clothes and silently slipped out of the window. After finding out the whereabouts of the Wanshou sect during the day, Ling Xiao prepared to investigate at night. Chapter 163. It was already late at night. Ling Xiao leaped from roof to roof, as light as a leopard. He did not make the slightest sound as he sped towards the hostel where the Wanshou sect was located. There was no one on the streets. Ling Xiao passed through a few streets and finally stopped in front of a magnificent building. I wonder if the news of Shi Tianxin's death has come back. If it does, I'll have to act as soon as possible. Ling Xiao's eyes shone brightly as he seemed to blend into the night. The guards of the hostel were a group of true Qi realm soldiers, and even the commander was only at the Dragon Tiger realm. Ling Xiao easily snuck into the hostel. Over there! Ling Xiao's mental strength was extremely strong, and his senses were incomparably sharp. He easily sensed an aura that was as deep as the sea coming from a courtyard in the north. It was far beyond the strength of a grandmaster. The elder protector of the Wanshou sect, He Qin. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed and he silently snuck over. There seemed to be no one guarding the courtyard where the Wanshou sect was located, but a faint sense of danger emanated from it. Ling Xiao was very sensitive to the fact that there were hidden sentries on an ancient tree behind the courtyard, in a rockery in the middle of the courtyard, and in a dark corner in the southeast. These 3 hidden sentries were all at the Dragon Tiger realm, and they were monitoring the entire courtyard. If an ordinary person dared to rashly enter, they would be discovered in an instant. In that case, the corners of Ling Xiao's mouth twitched slightly, and he disappeared into the darkness again. Following the dark alley outside the courtyard, he silently arrived at the top of the ancient tree behind the courtyard. Ling Xiao fully operated the sky-devouring secret skill. Even a Grandmaster Realm expert with Heavenman connection would not be able to sense his presence, let alone a mere Dragon Tiger Realm disciple of the Wanshou sect. Ling Xiao easily arrived at the ancient tree. Bang! Ling Xiao appeared behind the disciple like a ghost and chopped down on his neck with his palm. The disciple didn't even have time to make a sound as he fainted. Ling Xiao carefully placed him on the ancient tree. Then he walked along the wall and came to a window that was still lit. Ling Xiao's mental strength was extremely powerful. He had already reached the level of a mid-grade alchemy grandmaster, but he still didn't dare to be careless when facing a celestial realm powerhouse. Warriors of the celestial realm were able to become one with the heavens and earth, becoming one with nature. Moreover, they were beginning to touch upon the secrets of mental power, and their perception was extremely terrifying. Although Ling Xiao's sky-devouring secret skill could conceal his life fluctuations, if he released his mind power, it would be easily detected by celestial realm experts. Therefore, Ling Xiao did not rely on his own spiritual power. Instead, he chose to eavesdrop on the conversation by approaching the house. Through the blurry window, Ling Xiao could vaguely see what was going on inside. Senior brother Snake, junior brother Wuxin hasn't returned yet. Is there any problem? Inside the house, a slender young man in a white robe asked. There shouldn't be any problems. Wu Xen is just a bit too playful. The one with his back facing Ling Xiao was a young man in a black robe. He exuded a faint, dangerous aura, and his face couldn't be seen clearly. Ling Xiao sensed that the young man in the white robe was at level 1 of the Grandmaster realm, while the young man in the black robe was at level 6 of the Grandmaster realm. The young man in the black robe should be Shitan Luo. Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. When he heard them mention Shi Tianxin, he became even more focused. However, we should still send someone to take a look. Yu Lang, send 2 disciples to Qinghua City tomorrow and bring Wuxin back. Shi Tianluo said faintly. There was an inexplicable chill in his voice. Yes, senior brother Snake. Yu Lang nodded respectfully. He then hesitantly glanced at Shi Tianluo and said, Senior brother Shi, we haven't seen any trace of Elder Kun Shi along the way. Could it be that Elder Kun Shi didn't die in the Great Desolation Ancient Kingdom? Impossible. The sect master said that Elder Kunsh died in the Great Barren Ancient Kingdom, so he must have died in the Great Barren Ancient Kingdom. It's just that we haven't discovered it yet. Shi Tianluo looked at Yu Lang and continued, Elder, he already has some clues. You guys should use this time to investigate and see if you can find any clues in the royal capital. The incident at the fearsome Beast Mountain range should be happening soon. Before that, we must find out the cause of Elder Kunsh's death. I'd like to see who has the guts to kill an elder of the Myriad Beasts sect. Senior brother Snake, don't worry. The so-called geniuses in the royal capital are all trash. Even the so-called 5 young masters of the royal capital are like fireflies to the moon when compared to senior brother Snake. We've decided to find an opportunity to challenge the 5 young masters of the royal capital and crush their prestige. Yu Lang smiled disdainfully. Don't let your guard down. It's said that the little princess, Xia Hongxiu, has also returned this time. Moreover, the person with her is a noble from the Sun-Moon-Star sect. The people from the underworld have also appeared. The people from the Jade Lake sect and the Underworld sect have also appeared in the Great Barren Ancient Kingdom. It seems like they've discovered something. However, that thing belongs to the Myriad Beasts sect. No one can touch it. Shi Tianluo stood up and emitted a cold aura. He looked domineering and majestic. Oh. The Myriad Beasts sect didn't come to the royal capital just to investigate the cause of Elder Kunsh's death? Ling Xiao's eyes flickered. When he thought of the people from the Jade Lake sect and the Underworld sect appearing in the fearsome Beast Mountain range, he felt that a storm was coming. I must inform Ren Tianxing and the others to leave Qinghua City first. Moreover, I must not let the disciples of the Myriad Beasts sect go to Qinghua City. A faint murderous intent surged in Ling Xiao's eyes. If the disciples of the Myriad Beasts sect went to Qinghua City and found out about Shi Wuxin's death, Ren Tianxing and his daughter would be in danger. Ling Xiao listened for a while longer and found that he did not hear any useful information. Then he slowly left. Before he left, he sensed that Elder He Qing of the Myriad Beasts sect had already entered a meditative state to cultivate in the main room. However, because Ling Xiao's sky-devouring secret skill was too mysterious, He Qing did not discover anything. Before he left, Ling Xiao woke up the disciple he had knocked out on the ancient tree. Look into my eyes? Ling Zhao's eyes flickered as if there was a black vortex surging in them. The moment the disciple woke up, his eyes became lifeless. Ling Zhao's mental strength was extremely powerful. It was very easy for him to deal with a disciple in the Dragon Tiger realm. He used the soul transfer technique to erase the disciple's memory. Then he slowly disappeared into the darkness. Not long after, the Wanshou sect disciple shuddered and came to his senses, his eyes filled with confusion. How did I fall asleep just now? The disciple was puzzled. However, after thinking for a long time, he did not find anything wrong and did not pay attention to it. At this moment, Ling Xiao had already rushed to the spiritual medicine pavilion and met with Master Jiao Mu. When dawn broke and the city gates opened, one of Grandmaster Jiao Mu's trusted subordinates quietly left the royal capital and headed towards Qinghua City. Chapter 164. In the morning, the sun shone brightly. 2 disciples of the Wanshou sect walked out of the hostel of the Wanshou sect. They quietly left the hostel and headed out of the imperial city. One of them was at the 8th stage of the Dragon Tiger realm, and the other was at the 1st stage of the Master realm. It was Yu Lang, the one Ling Xiao saw last night. Are we really going to Qinghua City? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. He retracted his aura and followed them unhurriedly. At the same time, he felt lucky. If he hadn't been scouting the Wanshou sect last night, these 2 disciples would have reached Qinghua City. Ling Xiao wouldn't have been exposed, but Ren Tianxing and his daughter would have been in danger. The 2 disciples of the Wanshou sect were walking at a very fast speed. Almost without stopping, they left the King City and started flying towards the Qinghua City. Senior brother Yu, why are we in such a hurry to find Qinghua City? Senior brother Wuxin might be having fun. I'm afraid we're doing a thankless job. The disciple at the 8th stage of the Dragon Tiger realm said with some dissatisfaction. Junior brother Wang, be careful with your words. If junior brother Wuxin finds out, I'm afraid even I can't save you. The imperial city is now a place of trouble, and there are signs of a storm brewing. We can't let junior brother Wuxin do as he pleases. If anything happens to him, think about what senior brother she will do. Yu Lang warned with a serious look. Junior brother Wang was so scared that he shrank back when he thought of Shi Wuxin's ferocious past. He had taught many disciples in the sect a lesson, but senior brother Wuxin is already at the master realm. He shouldn't be in any danger in this small Qinghua city, right? Yu Lang looked into the distance and said calmly, even so, we can't let him fool around. We're only 1,000 miles away from Qinghua City. We'll be back in 2 days. Let's hurry up. Both of them displayed their Qinggong movement techniques, as if they were flying, following the vast fields towards the direction of Qinghua City. When they passed through an orchard, they saw a young man in a black robe. He had his back to them and looked very strange. Yu Lang didn't know why, but he felt a sense of danger. Who's there? Yu Lang shouted. He also felt that it was very strange. The youth before him gave him the feeling that he was only at the spirit transformation realm, but he felt uneasy and very dangerous. The people who will send you on your way. The young man said indifferently as he turned around, revealing a delicate and pretty face. It was Ling Xiao. How dare you? Before Yu Lang could say anything, junior martial brother Wang sneered and said, Brat, who are you? I think you must have eaten a bear's heart and leopard's guts to come here and seek death. Yu Lang, on the other hand, was much more cautious. He stared at Ling Xiao solemnly and asked, You and someone else? We don't seem to have any grudges with you. The grudge is huge, but you don't know about it. But you don't need to know any more. Ling Xiao smiled faintly as a sharp glint appeared in his eyes. He leaped forward and threw out a punch. The fiery glow of his fist enveloped Yu Lang and junior brother Wang. You're courting death. Yu Lang and junior martial brother Wang's faces turned cold as they shouted and charged toward Ling Xiao. Although they didn't know why a strange young man would appear here, a mere spirit transformation realm cultivator dared to attack them. He was simply courting death. Boom. Junior martial brother Wang revealed a sinister smile as he threw out a punch. The innate energy around his body surged, and the figure of a barbaric bear seemed to appear behind him. He cultivated the spiritual bear body tempering technique, and his divine strength was unparalleled. The punch he threw out contained nearly 50,000 kilograms of divine strength. In Junior Martial Brother Wang's opinion, this arrogant brat would soon be smashed into a pile of meat paste by him. But in the next moment, he realized how wrong he was. Boom! The void trembled slightly as a golden light exploded. Ling Zhao's blood qi was as deep as the sea. Ah! Junior Martial Brother Wang let out a miserable cry as his arm was instantly shattered. He flew backward and crashed into the ground, unconscious. No one knew if he was dead or alive. You're not at the spirit transformation realm. Yu Lang's expression changed drastically as he looked at Ling Xiao with an extremely fearful gaze. But Ling Xiao's gaze was indifferent, and he didn't answer him. Several invisible energy swords intertwined in the air, containing an incomparably sharp aura. Yu Lang felt his scalp go numb. The young man in front of him was like a ferocious beast cub, erupting with an incomparably terrifying aura. But he didn't know why this young man wanted to kill them. Dying in such a sullen manner was the most depressing thing. Boom! A black battle saber appeared in Yu Lang's hand, and he slashed it across the air. A series of metal clashing sounds rang out as he blocked all the invisible energy swords. But there was still one invisible energy sword that had reached Yu Lang's forehead, and it was about to pierce through his head in the next moment. Get lost! Yu Lang shouted as the innate energy around his body surged like endless waves. A blazing saber light shot out from his eyes and slashed at the invisible energy sword. Fear grew in his heart. This young man was too terrifying, and he was far from being able to defend against him. As long as he could block this attack, he would immediately escape back to the capital. At that time, the Celestial Realm Elder He Qing would make a move. Even if he had to turn the entire capital upside down, he would kill this little bastard. Ecstasy art! Ling Xiao suddenly shouted. His eyes seemed to be filled with a black vortex, and an incomparably powerful mental strength instantly shot into Yu Lang's eyes, causing him to involuntarily appear confused for a moment. But it was this moment of confusion that took his life. A ray of blood-red light exploded between Yu Lang's eyebrows. The invisible energy sword directly pierced through his forehead, and a violent sword aura erupted. Are you? Yu Lang felt his life slipping away, and a trace of incomparable fear flashed across his eyes. But he stared at Ling Xiao, not wanting to die in peace like this. He wanted to know who Ling Xiao was, and why he wanted to kill him. Because Shi Wuxin died in my hands. Ling Xiao said indifferently. Yu Lang's pupils suddenly shrank. He wanted to say something, but the light in his eyes disappeared in an instant, and he fell to the ground, dead. A powerhouse of the Grandmaster realm, dead. Ling Xiao took the storage bags of the two Wanshou sect disciples, and then threw out a ball of devouring heaven fire. A five-colored light filled the air, and the two disciples were instantly turned into ashes. Unfortunately, I'm afraid that their status is still too low, and they don't know the real purpose of the Wanshou sect this time. Ling Xiao checked the storage bags. Other than some spiritual stones, spiritual weapons, and medicinal pills, he didn't find any useful information. And the martial arts books of the Wanshou sect, the highest was only a low-grade earth-level martial art, which Ling Xiao didn't care about. I hope Ren Tianxing and the others can leave Qinghua City soon. This is all I can do. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he turned and flew towards the capital. Chapter 165. After returning to the capital, Ling Xiao stayed in the Taibai Inn. In the evening, the people sent by Grandmaster Jiao Mu rushed back from Qinghua City and reported to Ling Xiao about the situation there. Ren Tianxing and his daughter have left Qinghua City? Did Ji Feishuan take them away? Ling Zhao's eyes flickered as he felt slightly relieved. Grandmaster Jiao Mu's confidant reported that when he went to Qinghua City, the person in charge of the Skywalker escort agency was Old Hu. Ren Tianxing, Ren Qingluo, and Ren Qingyu had already left Qinghua City. It was said that they had been picked up by someone. Therefore, Ling Xiao immediately thought of Ji Feishuan. As the Empress of the Great Xian Kingdom, half of her purpose in coming to the Great Barren Ancient Kingdom was to find Ren Tianxing and his daughter. If that was the case, then Ling Xiao had nothing to worry about. The year-end competition is in 2 days. Although I don't care about the title of Demon King, I can't let it fall into the hands of others. Ling Xiao's eyes flickered with a hint of sharpness. For the rest of the time, Ling Xiao stayed in Tai-Bai restaurant and used these 2 days to cultivate. Ling Xiao's current cultivation was at the first level of the Dragon Tiger realm. However, since Ling Xiao had reached the 10th level from the channel opening realm to the true energy realm to the spirit transformation realm, Ling Xiao's first level of the Dragon Tiger realm was comparable to an ordinary martial artist at the 9th level of the Dragon Tiger realm. Moreover, the first level of the Heaven-Devouring Secret Technique had reached the perfection of the Heaven-Devouring Spiritual Seed, the first level of the Ancestral Dragon Secret Technique had reached the perfection of the Flood Dragon Body, and Ling Xiao had also successfully cultivated the first move of the 7 Limits Devouring Divine Technique, the 4 Elephants Sky Striking Style. In addition to Ling Xiao's experience and knowledge as a supreme, Ling Xiao's true combat strength was at least equivalent to an ordinary martial artist at the 5th or 6th level of the Grandmaster realm. In fact, if Ling Xiao used all his trump cards and went all out, he could even fight an expert at the peak of the 9th level of the Grandmaster realm. If others knew that Ling Xiao, who was only at the first level of the Dragon Tiger realm, had such terrifying combat strength, they would be so shocked that their eyeballs would fall out. However, this was caused by various factors. Ling Xiao's flawless martial Dao foundation and his heaven-defying secret techniques and martial arts allowed him to fight against those at a higher level. However, the Grandmaster realm could only be considered as an average expert. Only when one reached the Celestial realm could one be considered a true powerhouse. After reaching the Celestial realm, it was not so easy to challenge those of a higher realm. On the path of martial arts, the further one progressed, the greater the disparity. With Ling Xiao's current cultivation, if he wanted to fight with a celestial being, he would have to break through to the Guru realm in a short period of time or successfully cultivate the 2nd level of the 2 secret skills. Only then would it be possible. Warriors of the celestial realm were one with the heavens, and the heart of the heavens reflected their heart. They began to comprehend the profound meaning of martial arts, and with every movement, they possessed unparalleled power. The might of heaven and earth was vast and brilliant. It was not something that an ordinary person could contend against. My current cultivation is still too weak. I need to raise my cultivation as soon as possible. Ling Xiao thought to himself. Even though it had only been half a year since his reincarnation, he had already advanced by leaps and bounds from the Meridian Opening realm to the Dragon Tiger realm. However, Ling Xiao still felt a sense of urgency in his heart. The great enemy of his previous life, the Supreme True Dragon, had obtained the fate of the Scarlet Dragon God of War. Ling Xiao guessed that he had already broken through the peak of humanity and stepped into the legendary divine realm. In this life, even though martial arts in the 8 Desolation region had declined, the Wanshou sect, as the holy land of martial arts, would definitely have noble realm experts. Ling Xiao could not even deal with a celestial being expert, let alone a noble realm expert. All of this urged him to raise his cultivation as soon as possible. Moreover, martial arts in the 8 Desolation region had declined, and resources were scarce. Ling Xiao's eyes had already turned to the faraway War God continent. That was the core of the entire Crimson Dragon Great Cosmos. The War God continent was a place where thousands of races stood in great numbers, and geniuses competed with each other. That was the true battlefield of the strong. Once the matters in the 8 Desolation region were settled, Ling Xiao would find a way to go to the War God continent. Comparing the 8 Desolation region to the War God continent was like comparing a small pond to a vast ocean. They could not be compared at all. Inside the room, Ling Xiao slowly closed his eyes. Strands of golden light enveloped him, and hundreds of dazzling spiritual crystals floated in the air. They turned into the purest spiritual qi and surged into Ling Xiao's body. Now, Ling Xiao had accumulated too much. Normal spiritual stones could not satisfy his cultivation needs. Only spiritual crystals that contain the essence of spiritual qi could help him break through. Ling Xiao's spiritual energy was so strong that he could do 2 things at once. As he cultivated, he practiced the sky-devouring secret skill, the ancestral dragon secret skill, and the 7 limits divine skill in his mind. These 2 secret skills and 1 divine skill could be said to be Ling Zhao's foundation. The sky-devouring secret skill and the ancestral dragon secret skill were not martial arts, but they contained the most fundamental principles of martial arts and the mysteries of heaven and earth. The more Ling Zhao comprehended them, the more he felt that they were all-encompassing and unfathomable. The 7 limits divine skill was the crystallization of Ling Zhao's sublimation in his previous life. It was the peerless divine skill that he relied on to dominate the world. It had great killing power, and great supernatural power. As for the other martial arts, even the longevity supreme scripture, Ling Zhao only used it as a reference or as a means to use it. Just like that, as Ling Zhao comprehended them, he became more and more proficient in the 2 secret skills and the divine skill. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. When morning came, the golden sun shone through the window. Ling Zhao also slowly opened his eyes. Boom! His eyes were shining with golden light, causing electricity to appear in the air. A vicissitude, ancient, and majestic aura was emitted from Ling Zhao's body. At this moment, Ling Zhao seemed to have transformed into the sky-devouring supreme of his previous life, who dominated the world and dominated the world. Ling Zhao stood up from the bed. His clothes were whiter than snow, and his figure was slender. His long black hair was tied behind his head, making him look carefree and unrestrained. His eyes were brighter than the stars and bathed in golden light. He was like a young divine king, emitting an aura that looked down on the world. Ling Zhao left Taibai restaurant quietly without alerting anyone. He was dressed in white and bathed in the morning sun. His steps were steady as he walked in the direction of the Demon King's residence. The most majestic place in the entire capital city would be the Imperial City in the center. It was the residence of the Great Wilderness King and the descendants of the royal family. The second most majestic place would be the Demon King's residence. The Great Wilderness King and the Demon King had experienced life and death when they were young. The Demon King, Ling Zhen, had even contributed greatly to Xia Huang's ascension to the throne of the Great Wilderness King. Therefore, the Demon King could be said to be extremely favored. The Demon King's residence occupied thousands of acres of land. There were many pavilions, artificial mountains, and trees in the residence. The majestic houses rose from the ground, showing the power of the Demon King's residence in the entire Great Wilderness ancient country. However, 3 years ago, the Demon King's residence began to decline after Ling Zhen suddenly disappeared. Chapter 166. Although the Ling family still had a group of elders to support them, Ling Zhen had no successor. Without a powerful figure to support the demon mansion, it was like a huge piece of fat meat that attracted the attention of countless people. Up until now, Demon King Jinyao's original command of the world's armies had been reduced to nothing. The external military power was controlled by the great general Chen Weishan. As for the royal guards, they were controlled by the great general Meng Ao. The demon mansion's influence was not as great as it used to be, except for the Demon King's influence and the large amount of rewards from the imperial family. That was why the Ling clan's great elder was so eager to push someone out of the Ling clan to inherit the title of Demon Lord and restore the glory of the Demon Lord manor. Other than selfishness, he wanted his grandson to inherit the Demon King's title. He also wanted to restore the Ling family's glory. Ling Zhao's footsteps were steady and powerful. After passing through a few streets, he gradually became familiar with the surroundings. The demon mansion was right in front of him. Ling Zhao looked at the majestic buildings in front of him with a sharp glint in his eyes. Demon Mansion, Ling Zhao, am back. Just as Ling Zhao was heading to the Demon Mansion, in the Wanshou sex hostel. The atmosphere was heavy, and there was a faint murderous intent. Elder He Qing sat in the middle of the hostel with his brows slightly furrowed. The disciples of the Wanshou sect below him were all shocked and angry. In the end, their gazes landed on Shi Tianluo with a hint of reverence in their eyes. Tianluo, is the news accurate? Elder He Qing asked. It can't be wrong. Shi Tianluo exuded a cold aura. His eyes were filled with rage, and strands of cold, murderous intent lingered in the air like a blade. What we can be sure of is that Wuxin died at Ling Zhao's hands. 2 days ago, I sent Senior Yu and Junior Wang to Qinghua City to bring Wuxin back, but they disappeared without a trace. There's no news of them until now. I suspect that they may have died at Ling Zhao's hands as well. Skyfall's voice was extremely cold and contained a trace of blazing killing intent that made one tremble. 2 days ago, Shi Tianluo sent Yu Lang and junior marshal brother Wang to Qinghua City to bring Shi Wuxin back. However, he didn't expect that the two of them wouldn't return. Shi Tianluo was still worried, so he sent 2 more disciples of the Myriad Beasts sect. In the end, they found 2 fish that had escaped the net of the Dragon Tiger escort agency in Qinghua City, and they also learned about Shi Wuxin's death. After hearing the news of his brother's death, Shi Tianluo was about to go crazy. After a few investigations, he finally found out that the person who killed his brother was Ling Xiao. When he thought about how Yu Lang and junior marshal brother Wang disappeared for no reason, Shi Tianluo became even more suspicious. Ling Xiao hadn't kept a low profile in the past few days since his return to the capital. He had been in the limelight at the Elixir Pavilion and the Tai-Bai restaurant, so the Wanshou sect had easily found out that the Ling Xiao who had killed Shi Wuxin was most likely the son of the demon king Ling Zhen, Ling Xiao. This is too unbelievable. It said that Ling Xiao was a good-for-nothing who couldn't cultivate 3 years ago. After the demon king Ling Zhen went missing, he was sent to a small sect. Who would have thought that 3 years later, he would have the battle prowess of a grandmaster? This kid is really good at hiding and scheming. Elder He Qing sighed. He only knew that Ling Xiao had been hiding his strength 3 years ago and had been hiding in a small sect. In 3 years, he had broken through from the channel opening stage to the grandmaster stage. This talent was simply too terrifying. However, if he only knew that Ling Xiao had only used about half a year to reach his current level, he would probably find it even more unbelievable. However, he must have eaten a bear's heart and a leopard's guts to dare to kill a disciple of our Wanshou sect. He Qing's eyes revealed a trace of coldness. The aura of a celestial realm cultivator was immediately withdrawn, and it emitted a vast might of heaven and earth. Elder, I heard that today is the day of the year-end competition of the Demon King Ling Zhen's residence. I think that Ling Xiao will definitely be there. I'm afraid that he has been hiding for so long so that he can amaze the world with a single brilliant feat. However, since he dared to kill Wu Exan, this day next year will be the anniversary of his death. I will make sure that when he is at his peak, he will be knocked down from the clouds and tortured to death. Shi Tianluo's eyes were cold, and his killing intent was almost tangible. He suddenly clenched his fist, and a black divine light exploded, dark and evil. All right, let's make a trip to the Demon King Ling Zhen's residence today. I want to see if this kid who dared to kill Wu Exan has eaten a bear's heart and a leopard's guts. He Qing also sneered and made his decision. The Wanshou sect was a holy land of martial arts, above the 4 great ancient countries and many small kingdoms. A disciple of the Wanshou sect had actually died outside. This was definitely something that they could not tolerate. A debt of blood must be repaid with blood. Ling Xiao had killed Shi Wuexin, so he must be prepared to pay with his life. Imperial City, Imperial City. It was a palace that was wrapped in strange flowers. It looked very grand and imposing, and the words, Vermilion Bird Palace, were written on it. The Vermilion Bird Palace was the palace of the little princess, Xia Hongxiu. It was even more imposing than the palaces of the other princes. Xia Hongxiu was wearing a tight red soft armor that accentuated her perfect figure to the fullest. Her figure was slender, and her thighs were round and firm. Her small waist was small, and her skin was as white as jade. At this moment, her beautiful hair was tied up on top of her head, and her hand was on the long sword at her waist. She looked very valiant and had a different kind of beauty. Are you really going to choose to cancel the engagement today? This is too big of a blow to him. Don't you want to consider a gentler method? Besides, Xia Hongxiu was a girl in white. Her entire body was shrouded in the cold moonlight, and her face could not be seen clearly. However, her entire body emitted an ethereal aura, as if she was a goddess from the Moon Palace. She had descended to the mortal world, and she did not eat the food of mortals. Senior sister, today is the Ling family's end-of-year competition. Ling Xiao has been in the Changsheng sect for the past 3 years. I think he will definitely come back on such an important day. Only if Ling Xiao personally agrees to cancel the engagement will I not have to marry him. With my father's relationship with the Demon Lord, I know that he will definitely not lower himself to cancel the engagement. In a few days I will be 16 years old. This is my only chance. So even if it will hurt Ling Xiao, I can't care about it. I don't want to marry someone I don't love. Xia Hongxiu said firmly, emphasizing each word. All right. The moon goddess sighed. She also knew that her junior sister was stubborn. Once she decided on something, she would do it. Therefore, she did not stop her. Not long after, Xia Hongxiu and the moon goddess boarded the carriage together. Under the protection of the female warriors of the Vermilion Bird Camp, they left the imperial city and headed towards the Demon Lord's residence. Chapter 167. Very close to the imperial city, there was a magnificent building complex. Several large bluestone streets intersected and finally converged in front of the mansion. The sun shone brightly and the golden light filled the air, illuminating the 4 ancient words, Demon King Mansion. In the center of the Demon King Mansion, there was a huge martial arts arena. The ground was paved with white granite and was incomparably sturdy. Even ordinary spiritual weapons could not leave the slightest mark on it. Around the martial arts arena, there were circles of tall stone steps. At this moment, the stone steps were filled with people, and their eyes were filled with excitement and excitement. At the top of the stone steps, there were 5 old men in black robes sitting cross-legged. At this moment, their eyes were slightly closed, as if they were one with the surrounding heaven and earth, exuding an unfathomable aura. They were the 5 elders of the Ling family, and also the 5 most powerful people in the Ling family. Especially the black-robed old man in the center. He had a ruddy face and white hair, and his face was majestic. His cultivation had already reached the peak of the 9th level of the Grandmaster realm. He was only 1 step away from entering the realm of unity of heaven and man. He was the Ling family's first elder, Ling Yunxiang. On the left and right sides of Ling Yunxiang were the clan heads and elders of various clans and sects of the capital. I didn't expect that the 9th prince would come to the Ling family's year-end competition. Someone exclaimed when he saw the figure at the top of the stone steps. On the left of Ling Yunxiang sat a young man in a green dragon robe. He was tall and slender, and his face was like jade. There was a faint smile at the corner of his mouth, and his eyes were as bright as the stars. He had a unique temperament and the majesty of a superior, but it did not make people feel afraid. His entire person exuded a temperament that made people feel like they were bathed in the spring breeze. He was the current 9th prince, Xia Yunran. Thus, the Demon King Mansion. Although the Demon King Mansion disappeared 3 years ago, his prestige is still there. Moreover, this time, the king intends to let a descendant of the Ling family inherit the title of Demon King Mansion. This is a sign of the Ling family's revival. No wonder so many people are here. Basically, all the powerful families in the imperial city have sent people to watch the ceremony. That's right. Look, isn't that Grand General Chen Weishan and Grand Commander Meng Ao? I didn't expect this pair to appear at the same time. Everyone whispered to each other, and their eyes were filled with shock. Someone saw the 2 armored figures on the stone steps and recognized them. General Chen Weishan looked to be in his 40s. He had an elegant face and a warm smile on his lips. He wore black battle armor and his eyes shone with wisdom. As for the Grand Commander of the Imperial Army, Meng Ao, he was extremely tall and sturdy. His face was square and his eyes were like a ferocious tiger's. He wore golden chainmail and held a golden crescent blade in his hand. His entire body emitted a ferocious, baleful aura. If Chen Weishan was a scholarly general, then Meng Ao would be a war general, a peerless general who could order 1,000,000 soldiers to retreat. The 2 of them had completely different auras, but they both appeared at the Ling clan's tournament. The reason why everyone was shocked was because Chen Weishan and Meng Ao were originally subordinates of Demon Lord Ling Zhen. However, after Demon Lord Ling Zhen disappeared, Chen Weishan established his own faction and slandered Demon Lord Ling Zhen. Meng Ao was originally loyal to Demon Lord Ling Zhen. Seeing Chen Weishan being so ungrateful, he naturally couldn't tolerate it. He hated Chen Weishan to the core and almost fought with Chen Weishan several times. If it wasn't for the Desolation King's mediation, the two of them would have already walked to the life and death arena. Therefore, in public, the two of them almost never appeared at the same time. Today, Chen Weishan and Meng Ao appeared at the Ling clan's year-end tournament at the same time. Everyone was shocked and felt that the Ling clan's year-end tournament this time was extraordinary. Oh my god, am I seeing things? Could that be the Imperial Advisor's beloved daughter, the only female young master of the Imperial City's 5 young masters, Ling Qingqing? Another person exclaimed, and his eyes lit up. On the stone steps, there was a girl in a green dress. She had a perfect figure that made countless people's blood boil. Her legs were long and slender, and her waist was small and slender. Her breasts were high, and her curves were wrapped in her dress, faintly discernible, causing people to be lost in fanciful thoughts. Her skin was as white as ivory, and she had a small cherry mouth, a fine nose, and large watery eyes. She had a languid temperament, and she was looking around in boredom. Occasionally, a trace of craftiness would flicker in her eyes, making her seem quite intelligent. It's Ling Qingqing, my goddess. I didn't expect her to come too. One of the 2 beauties of the Imperial City is here. If the little princess Xia Hongxiu is here, it would be perfect. Xia Hongxiu? Who knows, maybe your wish will really come true. I heard that Xia Hongxiu wants to cancel her engagement with that big trash Ling Xiao. Today is her best chance. That's right. If she doesn't cancel the engagement, the little princess will turn 16 in a few days. The engagement will take effect, and she will really become that big trash's wife. Hee, the Ling family's competition is such an important day. I wonder where that trash Ling Xiao went. I heard that Ling Xiao was banished to a small sect by the Ling family's great elder. I don't think he will appear in the year-end competition. But if he does appear, then it will be interesting. Everyone's expressions were different, and they were all whispering excitedly. Many of the people who came to the Ling family's year-end competition today were people they would never see on a normal day. Take Ling Qingqing for example. As one of the 2 beauties of the Imperial City, everyone had only heard of her name and had never seen her before. Now that they saw Ling Qingqing, many of the youths' faces turned red, and they were so excited that they almost fainted. Sitting beside Meng Ao was a middle-aged man with an elegant temperament. At this moment, his face revealed a somewhat anxious expression. If Ling Xiao was here, he would be able to recognize that this middle-aged man was the city lord of Longevity City, Lu Xiongfei. Lu Xiongfei, you're not lying to me, are you? Everyone knows about the young master's talent, and even the lord can't do anything about it. Yet you say that he has become a peerless genius? Motherfucker, if you dare to lie to me, I will strip you naked and throw you down. Meng Ao glared at Lu Xiongfei and whispered to him, Old tiger, we are brothers who have gone through life and death together. Why would I lie to you? Don't worry, the young master will not disappoint us. He will definitely shine today and completely take back the title of Demon Lord. Lu Xiongfei's face was covered with a layer of inexplicable radiance as he spoke firmly. All right? But it's already so late, why isn't the young master here yet? The competition is about to end. Meng Ao said in a bored manner. Although the meaning of the Ling family's competition this time was extraordinary, a competition between a group of juniors was really boring in the eyes of the crowd. There weren't any outstanding figures in the younger generation of the Ling family. Meng Ao had no interest in a battle between a group of juniors in the channel opening realm, true energy realm, spirit transformation realm, and even the dragon tiger realm. Chapter 168. Don't worry, if the young master says he will return, he will definitely return. Although Lu Xiongfei was anxious, he was still full of confidence. Hee, old Xiong, I hope what you said is true. That Ling Tianxi is not someone easy to deal with. In terms of talent, he is already at the pinnacle of geniuses. He is not far from Ling Qingqing. I even brought the Huban camp. If Ling Yunxiang dares to harm the young master, I will wring his head off and use it as a chamber pot. Meng Ao chuckled. However, when he saw the black-robed young man in the middle of the martial arts practice field, his eyes revealed a trace of graveness. The black-robed youth had a slender figure and a handsome face. His long black hair flowed freely, giving him an extraordinary aura. His entire body was enveloped by a faint black light, and there was a sharp blade radiance bursting out, giving him a fierce aura, as if he was a peerless divine blade that was about to be unsheathed. He was the Ling family's peerless genius, Ling Tianxi. His cultivation had already reached the peak of the 9th level of the Dragon Tiger realm. His Xiantian energy was as boundless as the sea, and he was accumulating his aura. It was as if he would explode with earth-shattering power the moment he made a move. He was also known as the person most likely to become the 6th young master of the capital, and was also the focus of the Ling family's year-end competition. It had to be said that Ling Tianxi was very handsome. His face was like jade, and his aura was extraordinary. Just by standing there quietly, he made countless girls crazy and infatuated. At this moment, the Ling family's competition was nearing its end. The Ling family's year-end competition was divided into 4 groups: the Channel Opening Realm, the True Energy Realm, the Spirit Transformation Realm, and the Dragon Tiger Realm. The top 5 in each group would be rewarded with spiritual weapons, spiritual pills, and cultivation methods. The rewards this time were especially generous. Finally, the first place in each group could choose to challenge Ling Tianxi. It was said that the champion would not only obtain the Demon Lord Saber, but also the Ling family's only peerless treasure, the Demon Lord Saber. He could also inherit the title of Demon Lord. The King of the Wilderness had already acquiesced. The champion of this year's Ling family competition would be the future Demon Lord. However, many of the Ling family disciples knew their limits. Ling Tianxi was a peerless genius in their hearts, an existence that could not be surpassed. As such, it was almost certain that as long as there were no accidents, the position of the Demon King would belong to Ling Tianxi. The competition between the Meridian Opening Realm, True Energy Realm, and Spirit Transformation Realm groups quickly ended. The first place of each group was very self-aware and gave up on challenging Ling Tianxi. Only the first place of the Dragon Tiger Realm was a young man at the 8th level of the Dragon Tiger Realm. His name was Ling Jian, and he chose to challenge Ling Tianxi in the end. Ling Jian was dressed in black with a long sword on his back. His entire body was emitting a sharp aura, and his eyes were filled with an intense battle intent as he looked at Ling Tianxi. He didn't think that he could defeat Ling Tianxi, but he wanted to test the gap between him and Ling Tianxi. Only by fighting with the strong could he stimulate his potential. "Brother Tianxi, please enlighten me." Ling Jian cupped his hands in greeting, an eager look in his eyes. "Cousin Ling Jian, go ahead." With a tap of his foot, Ling Tianxi's entire body seemed to be floating in the air. He flew a few hundred feet and landed in front of Ling Jian with a gentle smile on his face. This move of his showed his superb movement technique, and it wasn't much weaker than the average martial scholar. Instantly, it caused many young girls to exclaim in surprise. Although Ling Tianxi also had a saber on his back, he didn't draw it and was prepared to face Ling Jian empty-handed. Everyone's gaze instantly focused on Ling Tianxi. Even the 9th prince, Ling Qingqing, and the rest put away their playful expressions and began to treat this martial arts competition seriously. Ling Tianxi's talent was peerless, and he was known to not lose to the 5 young masters of the capital. However, he rarely fought, and everyone wanted to take this opportunity to see his true strength. Elder Ling Tianxi lives up to his name, a genius gifted by the heavens. From today onwards, he will be the Demon King of our Great Desolation Ancient Kingdom. I have to congratulate you in advance. Chen Weishan looked at Ling Yunxiang and said with a smile, "Great General is too polite. Tianxi is still lacking compared to the Wen Dao, and he still needs to work hard. However, when Tianxi becomes the Demon King in the future, our families will have to interact more." Ling Yunxiang laughed, but he couldn't hide the trace of pride in the corner of his eyes. From today onwards, the Demon King's mansion would completely change hands. His grandson would enter the Demon King's mansion and become the true master of the Demon King's mansion. To Ling Yunxiang, who had been planning for a long time, this could be said to be his wish. Ling Yunxiang had been waiting for this day for too long. He was extremely cautious, as if he was walking on thin ice. He didn't even hesitate to ask the underworld to get rid of Ling Xiao. However, after such a long time, there was still no news from the underworld, which made Ling Yunxiang feel a little uneasy. However, seeing that Ling Tianxi was only a step away from the Demon King's position, Ling Yunxiang suppressed that trace of uneasiness. As long as Ling Tianxi inherited the Demon King's position, so what if Ling Xiao was still alive? At that time, the outcome would be determined, and it wouldn't be something a piece of trash like him could decide. Elder Ling, congratulations, congratulations. Let's get closer in the future. Elder Ling, congratulations. Our family head has decided to reduce the cost of cooperation with the Ling family by half in the future. Elder Ling, this is just a small token of our appreciation. The leaders of the various families also didn't want to be outdone and surrounded Ling Yunxiang with fawning smiles on their faces. You're too polite. Ling Yunxiang had a perfunctory smile on his face, but his gaze was fixed on the martial arts field. Boom! A powerful aura exploded from Ling Jian's body. Green light filled the air and turned into streaks of blazing green sword radiance. They were extremely sharp, as if they could pierce through everything. Ling Jian slowly pulled out the long sword on his back. Every inch he pulled it out, the sword radiance became brighter. The sky was filled with dazzling sword radiance, as if it covered the sky and the sun. The scene was shocking. This is the green sky returned to one sword? I didn't expect the Ling family to have cultivated this earth-level lower-level martial art to such a level. This sword technique is pretty good. It can even pose a threat to a grandmaster. On the stone steps, someone's eyes lit up as he commented. The green sky returned to one sword was the strongest sword technique that Ling Jian had cultivated. In the previous competitions, many disciples of the Ling family had been defeated by Ling Jian's sword. Boom! When the long sword was completely unsheathed, it instantly shone brightly. It was as bright as the sun, releasing blazing sword radiance. The green sword radiance that filled the sky instantly gathered on the sword and slashed down towards Ling Tianxi. Ling Jian's eyes were filled with fighting spirit. This sword technique could be said to be the peak of Ling Jian's strength. As the sword slashed across the sky, it seemed to have emptied his spirit, causing his face to turn pale instantly. Facing this sword technique, Ling Tianxi's face was still as calm as ever. Chapter 169. Boom! It was as if thunder had exploded in the void. Black divine light surged and shrouded the sky. In the darkness, it was as if there were huge stars rotating slowly. Ling Tianxi's palm turned into a heavenly saber that cut across the universe. It contained a peerless sharpness and boundless murderous intent. This saber seemed to be able to destroy the stars. It pierced through the heavens and earth and contained an ancient and mysterious aura. In front of this saber, Ling Jian's green sky returned to one sword was like a ray of starlight in the vast starry sky. It was so insignificant. Moreover, the peerless murderous intent that was emitted from Ling Tianxi's body made the hearts of many grandmasters palpitate. Boom! The sky full of green sword radiance was shattered. Ling Tianxi's palm hit the long sword. With a crisp crack, this peerless spiritual weapon was shattered. Ling Jian was sent flying for more than 100 feet. He fell heavily on the training ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. His eyes were filled with horror. He knew that Ling Tianxi had shown mercy. Otherwise, that saber would not only have injured him but killed him. When the heavens release the murderous intent, the stars move. This is the triple kill demon vanquishing saber? Ling Yunxiang, how dare you pass the triple kill demon vanquishing saber to Ling Tianxi without permission? Meng Ao's expression changed. His eyes were filled with coldness as he shouted at Ling Yunxiang. What? Ling Tianxi used the triple kill demon vanquishing saber? Everyone shuddered when they heard the name of the triple kill demon blade. Their eyes were filled with shock. The triple kill demon vanquishing saber represented an extremely glorious name. The triple kill demon vanquishing saber was the peerless martial art of the demon vanquishing king Lingzhen. It contained the power to destroy the heavens and earth. Back then, the demon vanquishing king Lingzhen killed his way into the depths of the fearsome beast mountain range alone with his saber. He killed countless sixth-order demonic beasts and even a seventh-order demonic beast. A seventh-order demonic beast was comparable to a noble stage human expert. It was also known as a demon king. Its every move had the power to destroy the heavens and earth. When Lingzhen used the triple kill demon vanquishing saber with his heaven stage cultivation, he was able to kill a demon king. This showed how terrifying this martial art was. When the heavens release the murderous intent, the stars move. When the earth release the murderous intent, dragons and snakes rise. When man release the murderous intent, the heavens and earth. When the heavens and men unite, 10,000 transformations. These were the 4 killing moves as well as the saber art. Commander Meng, what are you talking about? Is. How dare you, Chen Weishan? Meng Ao flew into a rage. He pointed at Chen Weishan and said, "The triple kill demon vanquishing saber is a martial art that the prince obtained. It has nothing to do with the Ling family. The prince did not rely on the Ling family for anything. Instead, the Ling family has benefited greatly because of the prince. The prince has said before that only his descendants can learn the triple kill demon vanquishing saber. Others, including the Ling family's side branches, are not allowed to practice it. Ling Yunxiang, I think you have no respect for the prince at all. Aren't you being too serious, Commander Meng? Who the triple kill demon vanquishing saber is an internal matter of the Ling family. It's not our place to ask." That's right. Calm down, Commander Meng. I think Ling Tianxi has cultivated the triple kill demon vanquishing saber to such a level. He will definitely become a demon king in the future. Tiger Meng, watch your mouth. Ling Tianxi is the demon king from today onwards. How dare you disrespect him? When the crowd saw that Ling Tianxi had displayed the triple kill demon vanquishing saber, they were all shocked. Ling Tianxi, who had cultivated the triple kill demon vanquishing saber, and who had not, was completely different in their eyes. The current Ling Tianxi was worthy enough for them to invest in and even flatter him. Meng Ao naturally felt that it was a thankless task. He began to be targeted by the crowd. Meng Ao was not good with words. At this moment, he was so angry that he shouted loudly. Ling Yunxiang glanced at Meng Ao with a sneer and ignored him. He stood up from the stone steps and the aura of the peak of the 9th level of the Supreme Power Realm spread out. Immediately, the noisy martial arts practice field quieted down. Thank you for coming to participate in the year-end competition of the Ling family. This old man is very grateful. After the competition, the champion of the year-end competition of the Ling family has appeared. He is Ling Tianxi. Ling Yunxiang's voice paused for a moment. Everyone looked at the center of the martial arts practice field. The young man in a black robe was faintly in awe. The people of the Ling family cheered in unison. His Majesty has already issued an imperial edict. This year, the champion of the Ling family's year-end competition will inherit the title of Demon Lord and become the new Demon Lord. Therefore, Ling Tianxi is the new Demon Lord. Ling Yunxiang's voice was loud and clear, and his eyes were filled with excitement. Ling Tianxi, who was below, could not help but take a deep breath. A trace of excitement appeared on his calm face. Finally, he was going to ascend the throne of Demon Lord. The title of Demon Lord that he had always dreamed of was within his reach. Old Bear, this is bad. The young master has not appeared until now. The year-end competition is over. What should we do? Meng Ao stared at Lu Xiongfei with an anxious look. I don't know either. Lu Xiongfei smiled bitterly. He was also very anxious. However, his eyes suddenly flashed and he saw a familiar figure from the corner of his eyes. Hee, old tiger, just you wait. There's a good show to watch. The anxiety on Lu Xiongfei's face disappeared, and he instantly became incomparably calm as he chuckled. Just as everyone was cheering, A calm and clear voice suddenly rang out and covered all the cheers. "Without my consent, who dares to call themselves the Demon Lord?" At the end of the martial arts practice field, white jade stairs extended. A white-robed young man bathed in golden light walked over. His black hair flew in the wind, and his eyes were bright. His entire body exuded a peerless aura. That sentence reverberated in the void, instantly causing everyone to tremble. "What? Ling Xiao is back?" Everyone's eyes were filled with shock, and their faces were filled with disbelief. They subconsciously stood up and looked at the white-robed young man in the distance. Everyone's eyes were focused on Ling Xiao. At this moment, he was the center of the world. Chapter 170. His white robes were purer than snow, and his black hair fluttered in the wind. That young man's steps were steady and powerful. As he walked over step by step, a golden glow enveloped him, making him look like a young divine king. His gaze was deep and calm, and his entire body exuded a transcendent and otherworldly aura. He appeared tranquil and peaceful, and had a power that made people tremble. "He's Ling Xiao." Some people were shocked and found it hard to believe. It was difficult to connect the young man in front of them with that big trash. The young man in front of them was in high spirits. He had a jade-like aura, and his bearing was extraordinary. As he walked over, it was as if the world was moving with him. He was the center of the world. His elegance completely suppressed Ling Tianxi, who was in the middle of the training field. There were even some young girls who were yearning for love. Their cheeks were flushed, and their eyes were filled with extraordinary splendor. It shouldn't be wrong. I've seen Ling Xiao once 3 years ago. I didn't expect him to appear here. There's a good show to watch now. On the stone steps, a family head revealed a surprised expression and smiled slightly. At the top of the stone steps, Ling Yunxiang's expression instantly became incomparably gloomy. His eyes surged with murderous intent, and there was a trace of disbelief. He had already paid a huge price to ask the underworld to get rid of Ling Xiao. Why would this nightmarish brat appear in the Ling family's year-end competition? Could it be that even the underworld couldn't deal with this brat? Ling Yunxiang's heart surged with an inexplicable chill, but he immediately shook his head and chased that thought out of his mind. Impossible! How powerful and terrifying was the underworld? That small sect couldn't withstand the assassination of the underworld. There had never been anyone that the underworld couldn't kill if they wanted to. The ninth prince, Ling Qingqing, Chen Weishan, and the others' curious gazes also fell on Ling Xiao. Young master is really back. If the prince sees this, he'll definitely be very gratified. Meng Ao and Lu Xiongfei looked at each other. Looking at the peerless young man below, their tiger-like eyes were slightly moist, and they seemed to be very excited. Did you guys notice that there's not a single ripple of cultivation on Ling Xiao's body? Someone cried out in surprise, immediately waking up many people. Numerous probing gazes fell on Ling Xiao's body, and then a long sigh could be heard. As expected, there was not the slightest fluctuation of cultivation on Ling Xiao's body. So he's still that trash from back then. Even if he's born with a good appearance, he's still trash. A jealous voice rang out, carrying a kind of indescribable pleasure. When Ling Xiao first arrived, everyone was stunned by his peerless demeanor. Now that they were awake, they immediately felt that Ling Xiao did not have the slightest bit of cultivation. There were only two possibilities for not being able to sense Ling Xiao's cultivation. The first was that Ling Xiao's cultivation was too high, and he was deliberately concealing his cultivation so that no one could sense it. The other possibility was that Ling Xiao really did not have any cultivation at all. Naturally, no one believed that Ling Xiao was able to hide from the detection of so many experts present. Therefore, there was only one possibility. Just like 3 years ago, Ling Xiao was still the useless Ling Xiao. He doesn't even have any cultivation now, so why would he dare to return to the Demon King's mansion? Doesn't he know that even if he comes back, he will only be humiliating himself and won't be able to change anything? He's still young and impetuous after all. Sigh. Back then I saw the Demon King from afar. What kind of peerless demeanor was that? This Ling Zhao's appearance is very similar to the Demon King, but his cultivation. It seems like he's really coming back to stop Ling Tianxi from becoming the Demon King, but can he stop it? That's not something we need to worry about. The Ling family's internal affairs will be settled by themselves. Hee, this is going to be a good show. Let's see how the Ling family elders will deal with this. On the stone steps, everyone's gaze landed on Ling Xiao. Some were filled with sympathy, some were filled with indifference, and some were filled with schadenfreude. Everyone whispered to each other and finally looked towards Ling Yunxiang and Ling Tianxi, wanting to see how they would deal with this. When Ling Tianxi saw that Ling Zhao's peerless demeanor actually overshadowed his brilliance, a cold glint appeared in his eyes. At this moment he felt that Ling Xiao had no cultivation at all. His originally nervous body immediately relaxed, and a mocking smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Ling Xiao, weren't you cultivating in the Changsun sect? Who allowed you to come back without permission? Ling Yunxiang's expression was indifferent as he looked down at Ling Xiao from above. His voice was cold and had a questioning tone. The Ling family's year-end competition. I'm also a member of the Ling family. How can I miss out on the year-end competition? Furthermore, if I didn't come back, wouldn't you have gotten what you wanted? Ling Xiao stood in the middle of the training ground with a faint smile on his lips. His reply was very casual as he looked around, not even looking at Ling Yunxiang. Ling Yunxiang's gaze instantly turned cold. Before he could say anything, Ling Tianxi jumped out and sneered at Ling Xiao. How dare you? The great elder is asking you a question. Aren't you going to kneel down and answer respectfully? Since you admit that you're a descendant of the Ling family, then you have to abide by the Ling family's rules. Ling Xiao had no cultivation at all, yet he still came to stir up trouble at the crucial moment. After seeing Ling Yunxiang and Ling Tianxi, he didn't show any respect at all. Seeing Ling Zhao's nonchalant attitude, Ling Tianxi felt an inexplicable rage in his heart. Who do you think you are? I'm talking to your old man's old man. Who are you to interrupt? Go to the side and wait. Ling Xiao glanced at Ling Tianxi from the corner of his eyes. Ling Tianxi's face instantly turned cold. A strong pressure pressed down on Ling Xiao, wanting to force Ling Xiao to kneel down. Although Ling Tianxi's cultivation was only at the 9th level of the Dragon Tiger realm, he had already touched upon the mystery of the power of heaven and earth. When the majestic pressure surged over, even a spirit transformation realm expert couldn't help but kneel down. However, Ling Xiao acted as if he didn't feel anything. He still had that indifferent smile on his face. Ling Yunxiang's gaze turned cold as he slowly said, Ling Xiao, you're too presumptuous. After Ling Zhen went missing, the family sent you to the Changsun sect in order to urge you to work hard in your cultivation. We also sent you a large amount of cultivation resources every year. I didn't expect you to be so useless. 3 years have passed, and you still haven't taken a step forward on the path of martial arts. Ling Yunxiang's face revealed a pained expression as he continued, Are you worthy of your father like this? Are you worthy of the family's nurturing? Today is the Ling family's year-end competition. You actually dared to leave the Changsun sect on your own and cause a ruckus at the year-end competition. You're bringing shame to the family. If you still have your father in your heart and the family in your heart, then scram back to the Changsun sect immediately. Ling Yunxiang shook his head, looking as if he expected better from Ling Xiao. His gaze towards Ling Xiao was filled with regret. At the same time, the killing intent in his heart was extremely strong. No matter the reason why the underworld didn't kill Ling Xiao, he had to kill Ling Xiao today. Chapter 171. Ha! Ling Xiao laughed loudly, his eyes filled with mockery as he said, What a nice way to put it. Ling Yunxiang, ask yourself honestly, did you send me to the longevity sect to urge me to practice martial arts? My father just disappeared 3 years ago, and you couldn't wait to send me away. You even tried to harm me time and time again. If I wasn't lucky, I would have been dead by now. Furthermore, who do you think you are? My father's title should naturally be inherited by me? What right do you have to make the decision for my father? Don't mention the family every day. It only makes me feel disgusted. After all these years, if it wasn't for my father's support, would the Ling family have developed to this stage? The resources you use for your cultivation, the luxuries you consume, the arrogance you rely on, if it wasn't for the 3 words Demon King Jinyao, what do you count for? All of you know the significance of today's year-end competition, but you hid it from me alone. Ling Yunxiang, didn't you want your grandson to inherit the title of Demon Lord? You schemed, and even hired assassins from the underworld to kill me. If it wasn't for my luck, I'm afraid you would have gotten what you wanted today, right? Unfortunately, I, Ling Xiao, have the protection of the heavens. It's all for the sake of exposing your true colors today. Old dog, what I want to say is that even if I don't care about the title of Demon Lord, it's not something people like you can covet. The title of Demon Lord only belongs to me, Ling Xiao. None of you can take it away. Ling Xiao's eyes were clear as he stared at Ling Yunxiang. His words were as loud as thunder, and his voice was incomparably impassioned. It resounded through the entire martial arts arena. When Ling Yunxiang and Ling Tianxi heard Ling Xiao's words, their faces instantly turned ugly. Especially Ling Tianxi, who was emitting a dark and cold aura. His eyes were filled with killing intent, as though he was going to kill someone in the next moment. What? Did I hit your sore spot and you want to silence me? Ling Xiao looked straight at Ling Tianxi and sneered. When the crowd heard Ling Xiao's words, they were all extremely shocked. Could it be true? If what Ling Xiao said is true, then Ling Yunxiang and Ling Tianxi are really trash. Shu, are you tired of living? What does the Ling family's matter have to do with us? Ling Xiao doesn't have any cultivation at all. Even if he exaggerates, it won't change anything. Sai, the Ling family is too much. Some people showed a trace of sympathy in their eyes, but they only dared to whisper and did not say anything. For some people, they revealed expressions of disbelief. I think Ling Xiao is just spouting nonsense. He said that Ling Yunxiang had sent people from the underworld to assassinate him? Then how could a trash with no cultivation like him appear here alive and well? You must know that hell has never failed to assassinate anyone it wants to assassinate. That's right. Just this loophole alone is enough to make me suspect that what he said just now is most likely false. He's lying. Some people close to Ling Yunxiang sneered, especially Chen Weishan. He even directly said that Ling Yunxiang was lying. Chen Weishan, bullshit. Meng Ao's heart was filled with anger. He pointed at Chen Weishan's nose and scolded, "Back then, His Highness treated you well. It's fine if you don't help young master, but you actually slander him. Chen Weishan, do you really think that I don't dare to kill you? Tiger Meng, Ling Xiao is your young master, not my young master. I'm just stating facts. What are you so agitated for? If you want to fight, then come at me. I want to see how well you've cultivated the great tiger demon halberd." Chen Weishan sneered and said, not to be outdone. On the stone steps, the 9th prince did not speak. He still had a faint smile on his face, as if this matter had nothing to do with him. Ling Qingqing, on the other hand, looked at Ling Xiao in surprise, her beautiful eyes sparkling. Was this still the legendary trash? This kind of bearing, elegance, and courage, other than the fact that he had no cultivation, did not look like the trash that everyone was talking about. Ling Qingqing became more and more interested in Ling Xiao. Ling Yunxiang's eyes were cold, and there was a deep light flickering in them. He stared at Ling Xiao and said coldly, "Ling Xiao, I won't lower myself to your level because you're still young. However, if you dare to slander me again, then don't blame me for serving you according to my family's laws." The champion of the Ling family's competition today is the Great Baron Ancient Kingdom's Demon Lord. This is something that His Highness personally promised. If you have the ability, then go ahead and challenge Tianxi. As long as you can defeat him, the Demon Lord's position is yours. No one can take it away from you. However, if you think that you can take away the Demon Lord's position with just your sharp tongue, then I'm afraid you're really delusional. Ling Tianxi sneered and said, "That's right. Ling Xiao, as long as you can defeat me, I'll give you the Demon Lord's position. If you lose, then you'll be my slave. Do you dare to make a bet with me?" Who knew that Ling Xiao's next sentence would make him fly into a rage? The Demon Lord's position was originally mine. You're using my things to bet with me. Do you have any shame? Ling Xiao said indifferently. He did not take Ling Tianxi seriously at all. Ling Xiao, if you're a man, then fight with me. I guarantee that I'll let you taste the most painful feeling in the world. Ling Tianxi said word by word. The murderous intent in his eyes seemed to have materialized. Everyone was a little sick of it. What was the point of a 9th-level Dragon Tiger Realm elite challenging an ordinary person? However, everyone knew that no matter what was said, in this world, strength reigned supreme. If one did not have enough strength, then it would be useless to say anything. Just like today's situation. If Demon Lord Ling Zhen was still around and he said that Ling Xiao should inherit the Demon Lord's position, would Ling Yunxiang and Ling Tianxi dare to say no? If Ling Xiao had exceptional talent and could suppress Ling Tianxi, who would dare to take away his Demon Lord's position? In the end, strength was the most important thing. Is that so? Since you want to die so much, then I'll fulfill your wish. Ling Xiao smiled indifferently as if he did not take Ling Tianxi's threat to heart. He just stood in front of Ling Tianxi. His clothes were whiter than snow, and his smile was radiant. He looked at Ling Tianxi as an equal without any fear. Good, very good. Ling Tianxi's eyes surged with black saber radiance. He exuded a powerful aura that was incomparably sharp as he looked at Ling Xiao. The blazing sharpness shot up to the sky and spread in all directions. It had a feeling that it was going to destroy everything. Ling Xiao actually dared to accept the challenge. This was beyond his expectations, but it also made him extremely excited. If he could kill Ling Xiao in battle, he would just say that he used too much strength. No one would be able to find fault with it. I've wanted your life for a long time. Since you're so tactful, I'll fulfill your wish. Ling Tianxi's eyes revealed a cruel smile. The aura around him instantly rose to the peak. Chapter 172. No one expected that Ling Xiao would actually accept the challenge. Was he crazy? Without any cultivation, he actually wanted to fight Ling Tianxi. He was simply courting death. However, looking at Ling Xiao's glib tongue, he didn't seem like someone who was courting death. What was he trying to do? Everyone's eyes were filled with shock as they stared at the center of the training field. Interesting. If there's nothing wrong with your brain, then you really have something to rely on. What exactly are you relying on? Qing Qing broke into a smile. She was so beautiful that she could turn all living things upside down. Instantly, some of the young men in the surroundings were mesmerized. Ling Yunxiang started to feel uneasy. Especially when he saw Ling Xiao's calm eyes, the premonition in his heart grew stronger. However, he didn't know where this uneasiness came from. It made him feel like he was going crazy. Everyone in the Ling family naturally stood on Ling Tianxi's side. Especially Ling Xiao's words just now. Not only did he scold Ling Yunxiang and Ling Tianxi, but he also scolded everyone. The Ling family naturally didn't have a good impression of Ling Xiao. Big brother Tianxi, defeat this arrogant kid. Big brother Tianxi can kill Ling Xiao with just a breath. This kid actually dares to challenge big brother Tianxi. He's simply courting death. A piece of trash like him wants to take the Demon King's position? He's dreaming. Kill him. Many of the Ling family members had cold and indifferent looks in their eyes as they mocked and ridiculed. Old Xiong, can the young master really defeat Ling Tianxi? Don't lie to me. I can't feel the young master's cultivation at all. Meng Ao said doubtfully. Lu Xiongfei also felt a little uneasy. However, when he saw Ling Xiao's calm eyes, he instantly calmed down. Old tiger, don't worry. The young master isn't stupid. Since he dares to challenge Ling Tianxi, he must be confident. Let's wait and see. Meng Ao glared at Lu Xiongfei and said, I hope what you said is true. Otherwise, if the young master is really injured by Ling Tianxi, I'll do it even if I have to lose my face. Lu Xiongfei chuckled and didn't say anything else. In the middle of the training field, Ling Xiao and Ling Tianxi faced each other from afar. Sensing the cold aura coming from Ling Tianxi's body, Ling Xiao's eyes flickered with a golden light. The atmosphere instantly became very stifling. For some reason, everyone knew that Ling Xiao had no cultivation at all, but they still felt like a storm was brewing, as if a great battle was about to break out. At this moment, A hurried voice broke the silence of the martial arts practice field. There was even a hint of panic in the voice. Reporting. A housekeeper wearing a black robe ran into the training field and knelt down in front of Ling Yunxiang. Reporting to Great Elder, the little princess has arrived. Ling Yunxiang's expression shook. Then he revealed an incomparably pleasantly surprised look. He quickly said, "Quickly invite him in." "No, I will personally welcome the little princess." Everyone's eyes revealed a trace of shock. Little Princess Xia Hongxiu actually came as well? Recalling the rumors in the royal capital, everyone's gazes involuntarily landed on Ling Xiao, revealing a strange expression. Could it be that the little princess came back this time to cancel her engagement with Ling Xiao? "Elder Ling, there's no need to be so polite. I came uninvited. I hope Elder Ling won't blame me." In the distance, a crimson gold carriage drove over. Two extremely majestic level 5 white tiger beasts pulled the carriage. Vermilion bird camp guards guarded the left and right, appearing very imposing. The crimson curtains emitted a faint glow. A young girl's fragrance wafted over, and a girl wearing crimson armor walked out from the curtains. That girl's figure was very tall and flawless. Especially under the crimson armor, she appeared even more voluptuous. Her skin was as white as jade, and her long black hair was coiled on top of her head with a jade hairpin. Her face was exquisite, with an unconcealable heroic spirit. Her entire person appeared valiant and formidable. Her phoenix eyes revealed a faint glow as she scanned the people in the training field. "This old man greets your highness." With Ling Yunxiang as the leader, the Ling family members all bowed deeply towards Xia Hongxiu. The family heads on the stone steps also clasped their hands and bowed. Everyone knew that Xia Hongxiu was the great wilderness king's favorite little princess. Her position was even higher than many of the princes. The 9th prince's eyes also revealed a hint of hidden jealousy, but it disappeared immediately. He walked over with a smile and said to Xia Hongxiu, "Hongxiu, why are you here?" Xia Hongxiu said faintly, "Hongxiu greets 9th brother. It's just that I have some matters to settle with the Ling family, so I had no choice but to come today." Everyone was slightly taken aback, revealing a strange expression. Their gazes instantly fell on Ling Xiao. Xia Hongxiu's gaze swept past Ling Tianxi, and Ling Tianxi's eyes revealed a hint of excitement. He took a step forward, wanting to say something, but Xia Hongxiu didn't stay on him for long and moved away. Ignoring Ling Tianxi's ugly expression, Xia Hongxiu's gaze fell on Ling Xiao, revealing a hint of surprise. This youth was the one who was assassinated by the underworld's assassins at the city gate a few days ago. Why would he appear in the Ling family? Ling Yunxiang's gaze shifted, and he said with a smile, "Your Highness, may I know how the Ling family can be of service to you?" "I'm afraid Elder Ling can't make the decision on this matter." Xia Hongxiu's voice was very calm, and she didn't give Ling Yunxiang any face at all. "I heard that the final champion of the Ling family's year-end competition will inherit the position of Demon King. I want to speak to the new Demon King. Only he can make the decision on this matter." Ling Yunxiang didn't dare to get angry. He could only smile and say, "Your Highness, you came at the right time. The champion of the year-end competition has already been decided. It's my grandson, Ling Tianxi. He will be the future Demon King." Xia Hongxiu's gaze fell on Ling Tianxi. Ling Tianxi couldn't help but straighten his back, revealing a smile that he thought was very appropriate. He said, "Your Highness, I was lucky to be the champion of the Ling family's year-end competition. I will soon submit a memorial to the king to inherit the position of Demon King. Your Highness, please tell me if you need anything. I will definitely do it." "Who said that the champion has already been decided? Could it be that you are all blind and deaf? Can't you see that I'm still here?" Ling Zhao's cold laughter rang out, and his face was full of nonchalance. "For you." Xia Hongxiu frowned and glanced at Ling Xiao indifferently. She didn't know why, but she felt that this youth in front of her gave her a very familiar feeling. Chapter 173. Your Highness, I'm afraid you won't be able to guess who he is. He is Ling Xiao, the useless Ling Xiao. He is also the disgrace of the Ling family. Ling Tianxi was the first to speak as he laughed coldly. What? Xia Hongxiu's expression changed. She could no longer maintain her indifferent expression. This name was like a nightmare in her heart. She tried her best to get rid of it. For this reason, she didn't hesitate to return from the Sun Moon Star sect and personally come to the Demon King's residence. Now, this young man was standing in front of her, making her feel unreal. Who? Are Ling Xiao? Xia Hongxiu looked straight at Ling Xiao. Her gaze was sharp. Of course, it's the real deal. Ling Xiao smiled. His smile was radiant, and his face was full of mischief. When he saw Xia Hongxiu come to the Demon King's residence in such a grand manner, he vaguely guessed Xia Hongxiu's intentions. Indeed, he still couldn't avoid it. Since he couldn't, he might as well face it. Very well. Xia Hongxiu took a deep breath. Her chest heaved up and down as she forcefully suppressed the shock in her heart. Her gaze became cold again. Since you are Ling Xiao, then I don't need to find the future Demon King. Return the marriage certificate to me, and we will be even from now on. Xia Hongxiu stared at Ling Xiao with clear eyes. Back then, because Ling Xiao and Xia Hongxiu were born in the same year, month, and year, Xia Huang and Ling Jin set up a marriage contract for them. Furthermore, there were 2 copies of the marriage certificate. When the 2 of them were 16 years old, they could use the marriage certificate to become husband and wife. Xia Hongxiu wanted Ling Xiao to hand over the marriage certificate. Her intention was clear. What? She's really here to cancel the marriage? Everyone's eyes were filled with shock. They didn't expect Xia Hongxiu to make such a grand scene. She was really going to cancel the marriage with Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao is really pitiful this time. Not only has his position as the Demon King been snatched away, even his future wife is going to abandon him. Someone laughed in Schadenfreude and said in a low voice, "She's actually here to cancel the marriage? This is definitely intolerable. If Ling Xiao can still tolerate such a huge humiliation, then he's not a man. Hee, so what if I can't tolerate it?" He was a piece of trash, and the little princess was a direct disciple of the Sun Moon Star sect. The difference between the 2 of them was like heaven and earth. Could it be that he really wanted to eat the meat of a swan? I think he will definitely hand over the marriage certificate. Everyone shook their heads and whispered to each other. Xia Hongxiu's words caused an uproar in the entire martial arts practice field. Annul the engagement? The little princess has gone too far. Hearing Xia Hongxiu's words, Meng Ao's hair stood on end. His tiger-like eyes widened, burning with rage. Young Lord and Little Princess's engagement was set by His Highness and His Majesty. The Emperor's promise is as important as Mount Tai. How can it be changed at will? If this engagement was cancelled, how would the young master face the world in the future? Does Xia Hongxiu have any respect for the prince? Meng Ao's fiery temper flared up, and he stood up in a flash. "Tiger, don't get too excited." Lu Xiongfei jumped in fright and hurriedly pressed Meng Ao down. Laughing bitterly, he said, "You look at young lord. He's not even angry yet. What are you angry for? Believe in young lord. He will definitely be able to resolve this matter." "Old Xiong, you better be telling the truth. Otherwise, I will definitely rush into the Great Baron Hall and find His Majesty to settle this." Meng Ao glared at Lu Xiongfei with dissatisfaction and sat down. Ling Yunxiang and Ling Tianxi both had mocking looks on their faces, as if they were waiting for a good show. Logically speaking, Ling Zhao's annulment of the engagement was a huge blow to the Ling family's reputation. The Ling family should be united against a common enemy. However, Ling Yunxiang and Ling Tianxi had long stopped treating Ling Xiao as a member of the Ling family. Seeing Ling Xiao being humiliated like this, they secretly felt relieved. Everyone's gaze fell on Ling Xiao. They felt that Ling Xiao was going to explode in the next moment. Marriage certificate? What marriage certificate? Ling Xiao was slightly taken aback as he looked at Xia Hongxiu casually. Ling Xiao really hadn't seen the marriage contract between the 2 of them. When that cheap old man Ling Jin left 3 years ago, he didn't give him the marriage contract at all. So even if Xia Hongxiu didn't say anything, Ling Xiao wouldn't marry Xia Hongxiu. Because the marriage certificate couldn't be found. "Ling Xiao, we don't belong to the same world. It's impossible. So, I will never marry you. Don't waste your time. As long as you give me the marriage certificate, I can ask my father to let you inherit the title of Demon Lord. Xia Hongxiu frowned and looked at Ling Xiao with disdain. Her face was full of arrogance. She thought that Ling Xiao didn't want to hand over the marriage certificate, so he didn't have it. Moreover, Ling Xiao gave her the feeling that he didn't have any cultivation at all. He was still that trash. If such a person still couldn't recognize himself and continued to have wishful thinking, he definitely wasn't a smart person. However, Xia Hongxiu's words made Ling Yunxiang and Ling Tianxi's faces turn green. What? As long as Ling Xiao handed over the marriage certificate, Ling Xiao would inherit the title of Demon Lord? Then what about me, Ling Tianxi? Ling Tianxi was extremely unwilling, but he didn't dare to say anything to Xia Hongxiu. Ling Yunxiang and Ling Tianxi looked at Ling Xiao worriedly, afraid that he would agree to return the marriage certificate to Xia Hongxiu. Hand over the marriage certificate and let me inherit the title of Demon Lord? Is this a deal? Ling Xiao smiled faintly, his eyes revealing a faint sharpness. If you understand it that way, it's fine too. Xia Hongxiu's voice was still very cold as she stood there waiting for Ling Zhao's answer. But I really don't have the marriage certificate. Ling Zhao's face was filled with innocence. Xia Hongxiu was finally a little impatient. Her eyes revealed a trace of coldness as she said, Demon Lord must have handed the marriage certificate to you before he disappeared 3 years ago. How can such an important thing be missing? Ling Xiao, I advise you not to waste your time. My patience is limited. Hand over the marriage certificate and be the Demon Lord properly. I will guarantee that you will have no worries for the rest of your life. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Ling Zhao's gaze also turned cold. Xia Hongxiu, firstly, I said that my father didn't give me the marriage certificate. So I can't give it to you. Secondly, I originally didn't want to marry you. I, Ling Xiao, have no interest in a spoiled princess like you. Even if you wanted to marry me, I wouldn't marry you. Thirdly, I realize that I have changed my mind. Even if I had the marriage certificate, I wouldn't be willing to return it to you. What right do you have to be so arrogant as to cancel the marriage certificate? What right do you have? Even if the marriage certificate is cancelled, I, Ling Xiao, will be the one to divorce you and chase you out of the Ling family. Chapter 174. Ling Xiao stood there, his robe whiter than snow. His eyes were filled with youthful vigor and sharpness. His words made Xia Hongxiu's face change color instantly. Ling Xiao, how dare you? Xia Hongxiu's face was red. She pointed at Ling Xiao and said angrily, Ling Xiao, I'm advising you nicely. Don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. My father and the Demon Lord may have set a marriage agreement for us, but don't think that I must marry you. My husband must be a peerless genius who shines brightly and is the center of attention. Not a good-for-nothing like you who can't cultivate. That's right. Ling Xiao, you are a good-for-nothing who can't even cultivate. Her Royal Highness is a true disciple of the Sun Moon Star sect. You are a toad who wants to eat swan meat. Return the marriage agreement to Her Royal Highness. Ling Tianxi's eyes flashed as he laughed coldly. Ling Yunxiang also said indifferently, Ling Xiao, when Ling Zhen and the king set this marriage agreement, they didn't expect you to be unable to cultivate. If Ling Zhen was still here, he would definitely agree to cancel the marriage agreement. You and the princess are not from the same world. Return the marriage agreement to Her Royal Highness. Ah! Ling Xiao looked at Ling Yunxiang and Ling Tianxi and laughed coldly. Who do you think you are? My marriage is not up to you to decide for me. On the spectator stand, Chen Weishan also smiled faintly and said, Ling Xiao, you clearly know that it's impossible for the princess to marry you. The princess's future husband must at least be a true disciple of the Sun Moon Star sect, a peerless genius. It's useless for you to keep the marriage agreement. Why don't you return the marriage agreement to Her Royal Highness? It's not good for anyone to fall out with her. Her Royal Highness has also agreed to ask the king to let you inherit the title of Demon Lord. Don't be so ungrateful. What right do you have to talk to me? Ling Xiao sneered and said, when my father was around, you were incomparably respectful, serving him like a father. My father also treated you like his own son, imparting martial arts to you and teaching you the art of war. If it wasn't for my father promoting you, you would still be a cowherd boy, right? But once my father left, you turned to the 9th prince's subordinate and even slandered my father. How can a slave of 3 surnames like you still have the face to come to my demon king's mansion? Are you worthy of my father? When the word slave of 3 surnames came out, Chen Weishan immediately flew into a rage. Little bastard, you're courting death. Chen Weishan's face was gloomy, and his eyes were filled with cold, murderous intent as he glared at Ling Xiao. Slave of 3 surnames was his Achilles heel. Normally, those who dared to mention these 4 words were all tortured to death by him. Ling Xiao actually dared to call him a slave of 3 surnames in front of everyone. This made him feel even more humiliated than a few slaps. Chen Weishan, young lord said that you're a slave of 3 surnames. Could it be wrong? Let me tell you, if you dare to touch a single strand of young master's hair, I will slaughter both of your sons. Meng Ao could not hold it in any longer. He stood up and pointed at Chen Weishan with a cold smile. The atmosphere instantly turned cold. Everyone in the martial arts practice field had a strange look on their faces. They felt that today's matter was getting more and more complicated. As for those family heads who were neutral, they did not offend either side and looked as though they were watching a good show. Ling Xiao, is there any meaning in your words? If you're a man, then have a battle of life and death with me. If you lose, you'll die, and your engagement with Her Highness will naturally be annulled. If you win, you'll be the new Demon King, and you'll be able to wash away your trash name. Do you dare? Ling Tianxi pointed at Ling Xiao, and his eyes were filled with murderous intent. His heart was filled with anger, and he hated Ling Xiao to the extreme. He could not wait to slaughter Ling Xiao immediately. Moreover, he was afraid that Ling Xiao would give in to the pressure and agree to Xia Hongxiu's request and hand over the marriage certificate. If that happened, would the position of Demon King really be given to Ling Xiao? This was something that he could not tolerate. Noisy! Ling Xiao shouted at Ling Tianxi as a sharp glint flashed across his eyes. Xia Hongxiu, you're right. We're indeed not from the same world. Ling Xiao said slowly, but you have to remember that it's not that I, Ling Xiao, am not worthy of you. It's that you're not worthy of me. Our lives are destined to never cross. You're destined to only be able to look up to me. After saying that, Ling Xiao did not care about the change in Xia Hongxiu's expression. He pointed at Ling Tianxi and said disdainfully, since you're so eager to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Get over here. Ling Xiao, you're the one who's looking for death. Don't blame me. Ling Tianxi could not hold it in any longer. Now that he saw Ling Xiao accepting the challenge, his eyes were filled with cruelty and bloodlust. He shouted and charged over. Boom! The powerful aura of a 9th stage dragon tiger realm exploded, and Ling Tianxi's body was covered in a black glow. In an instant, the sky changed color, and it was as though the void was covered by a black cloud. A mysterious shadow of a ghost appeared behind Ling Tianxi. He threw out a punch, and a black divine light swept towards Ling Xiao like a storm. The void trembled, and the firmament shook. A majestic divine power swept out, and it was as though it was going to devour Ling Xiao completely in the next moment. The crowd's faces even started to show signs of reluctance. Ling Tianxi's punch was unpredictable, and his fist aura was vast. It was as though he had communicated with the power of a ghost, and it made some of the strong fighters in the Grandmaster realm look serious. Faced with this punch, even a strong fighter in the Grandmaster realm would not be able to take it so easily. Ling Xiao was just an ordinary person. He would probably be blasted into nothingness by this punch, right? Xia Hongxiu frowned. She also felt the murderous intent in Ling Tianxi's punch. She wanted to stop him, but when she thought of Ling Xiao's presumptuous words, she hesitated. In this moment of hesitation, the vast fist radiance arrived in front of Ling Xiao. If I say you're looking for death, then you're really looking for death. Ling Xiao said word by word, and his eyes instantly exploded with a dazzling radiance. A clear dragon's roar resounded through the firmament. Ling Xiao's clothes were whiter than snow, and his black hair fluttered in the wind. An aura that made the heavens and earth tremble emanated from his body. Strands of golden divine light shrouded his entire body. At this moment, Ling Xiao looked like a peerless divine king who had descended into the mortal world. Boom! He also threw out a simple punch. Boundless divine light gushed out, and in that endless light, the fist aura turned into a huge golden dragon, charging through the air. Crack! The blazing divine light exploded, like a small sun exploding. In that instant, the heavens and earth went silent, and the crowd could not see anything clearly. A blood-curdling scream was heard. In the divine light storm, Ling Tianxi's arm exploded into a bloody mist, and a few of his ribs were broken. He flew out and landed heavily on the ground. No one knew if he was dead or alive. In the golden divine light, Ling Xiao's expression was extremely calm, and his eyes were even brighter than the stars. There was an otherworldly aura, and he exuded a peerless demeanor. Everyone was stunned. Xia Hongxiu was also stunned. Chapter 175. The martial arts practice field was dead silent. Everyone looked as if they had seen a ghost, unable to believe their own eyes. Ling Xiao, didn't he have no cultivation at all? Someone said with a bitter expression. His eyes were filled with shock. This scene was like a dream. It was as if a beggar had suddenly become an emperor. It was hard for people to accept. Everyone thought that Ling Xiao had no cultivation at all. Just like 3 years ago, he was still the useless Ling Xiao who couldn't cultivate. However, the scene of Ling Xiao suppressing Ling Tianxi with his peerless sharpness had shocked everyone. In the martial arts practice field, everyone stood up and looked at the young man in the middle. I knew it, huh? I knew that young master was the best. What peerless genius Ling Tianxi. He's just trash in front of young master. Meng Ao was so emotional that his face was red. He laughed loudly and slapped Lu Xiongfei's shoulder. Lu Xiongfei glanced at him and said, "Who was the one who was worried just now? Tiger, are you satisfied now?" Of course, I'm really satisfied. Pa. Young master's punch was so fucking exciting. Even my blood was boiling. If His Highness saw this scene, he would be extremely gratified. Meng Ao nodded repeatedly, his eyes filled with excitement. Chen Weishan, the 9th prince, and the rest's faces changed. Originally, they thought that there was no suspense in this battle. Ling Xiao would definitely be killed by Ling Tianxi's punch. But they didn't expect such a dramatic scene to occur. Their eyes were about to pop out, and their expressions were very interesting. But everyone's shock couldn't be compared to the little princess Xia Hongxiu. At this moment, Xia Hongxiu's face was filled with disbelief. How is this possible? How is this possible? She was about to go crazy. The feeling that Ling Xiao gave her previously was that he didn't have any cultivation at all. But that punch just now had completely shocked her. The words that she had just said were still vivid in her mind. But at this moment, it was like a huge slap on her face. So, we are indeed from different worlds. Xia Hongxiu's face was incomparably pale, and her entire body was trembling. She bit her lips tightly and stared at Ling Xiao. She didn't even realize that her lips were bleeding. Ling Tianxi's furious attack just now was already comparable to a Zhongshe realm expert. However, such strength was actually unable to withstand a single blow from Ling Xiao. He was heavily injured by a single punch from Ling Xiao, and it was unknown whether he was dead or alive. Didn't that mean that Ling Xiao's cultivation was far beyond the Grandmaster realm? Xia Hongxiu took a closer look, and her eyes widened instantly. You're only at the first level of the Dragon Tiger realm? Xia Hongxiu started to speak incoherently. The shock in her eyes was even more intense than before. What? When the crowd heard Xia Hongxiu's words, they all looked over and their eyes immediately widened. At this moment, Ling Xiao's body was shrouded in golden light. His gaze was indifferent, and his black hair fluttered in the wind. His white robes were whiter than snow. His entire being was like a young divine king who had walked out of a legend, perfect and flawless. However, at this moment, he didn't conceal his cultivation at all. His cultivation of the first level of the Dragon Tiger realm was completely displayed in front of everyone. Oh my god, 3 years ago, he was still a piece of trash who couldn't cultivate. In just a year's time, he broke through 4 major realms from the channel opening stage to the first level of the Dragon Tiger realm? How is this still considered a genius? This is simply a peerless demon. That's right. A first level of the Dragon Tiger realm can suppress a 9th level of the Dragon Tiger realm with such strength. This shows that his foundation is extremely solid. Could it be that he has completely inherited the peerless talent of the Demon Lord? I think so. So we were all blind in the past. Ling Xiao is the true peerless genius of the Demon Lord's residence. Compared to Ling Xiao, that Ling Tianxi is really nothing. The crowd was in an uproar. Each of them was overwhelmed with emotions, and their eyes were filled with excitement. They had witnessed the rise of a peerless genius. Each of them felt as if they were in a dream, and they couldn't believe their eyes. However, they all knew that from today onwards, Ling Xiao would completely shake the great wilderness ancient country. First level of the Dragon Tiger realm? So you've hidden your strength so well. 3 years ago, you only went to a small sect. I'm getting more and more curious. What kind of sect and experience could give birth to a demon like you? On the stone steps, Ling Qingqing's beautiful eyes were filled with excitement. Her gaze fell on Ling Xiao, and it was filled with shock and curiosity. She muttered to herself, and her peerless face smiled gently. Instantly, the world lost its color. Ling Xiao, you're courting death. An old voice that was suppressing his anger rang out, and it instantly covered everyone's discussion. On the stone steps, Ling Yunxiang stood in the air. His entire body was shrouded in a black glow, and his black robe fluttered in the wind. His aura was unfathomable, and a peerless killing intent locked onto Ling Xiao. He recovered from his shock, and his eyes instantly revealed a look of shock and anger. Torrential anger and blazing killing intent landed on Ling Xiao's body like a sword radiance. He was completely enraged. How could this little bastard be so strong? From a young man without any cultivation, he had cultivated to the first level of the Dragon Tiger realm in only 3 years. Furthermore, he had suppressed Ling Tianxi in one move. At this moment, Ling Tianxi was lying on the ground, and it was unknown whether he was dead or alive. This made Ling Yunxiang completely crazy. No matter what, he had to kill this little bastard today. Ling Yunxiang finally knew why the underworld had not killed Ling Xiao all this time. It was not that they did not want to kill him, but that they could not kill him. The bad premonition in his heart was finally confirmed. It turned out that the root of all this was still Ling Xiao. Old dog, you finally can't hold back anymore, can you? Remember, the next time you find someone from the underworld to kill me, it's best to find someone with a higher cultivation. Don't send any random cat or dog to die. Ling Xiao sneered, and dozens of silver tokens appeared in his hand. He casually threw them on the ground, and they made a crisp sound. It's really the assassin tokens from the underworld. So what Ling Xiao said was true? Someone with sharp eyes saw that the tokens that Ling Xiao threw out were all from the underworld's silver token assassins. Instantly, everyone revealed a look of understanding. This was the best proof. It turned out that Ling Yunxiang had really hired assassins from the underworld to kill Ling Xiao. At this moment, when they recalled Ling Yunxiang's hypocritical words, everyone's face revealed a trace of disdain. Ling Xiao, you're dead meat. Today, no one can save you. Pay with your life for Tianxi's. Ling Yunxiang roared, and his eyes were filled with crazy killing intent. Instantly, he rushed down from the high platform and slammed his palm down on Ling Xiao. Chapter 176. Ling Yunxiang, you're courting death. Meng Ao could no longer sit still. A cold light flashed in his eyes, and a violent energy burst out from his body. The sky piercer in his hand shone with a sharp light as he slashed toward Ling Yunxiang. Meng Ao was also at level 9 of the Grandmaster realm. However, Meng Ao was a peerless warrior. His body exuded an endless killing aura, which was the cultivation and strength that he had honed from mountains of corpses and seas of blood. When the sky piercer fell, It was like a bright pillar that pierced through the sky. It contained a terrifying power that made one's scalp tingle. Bang! Ling Yunxiang slapped the sky piercer, and a blast of air exploded. He felt a terrifying force surging toward him. His entire arm instantly went numb, and his face turned pale. He flew back dozens of feet in the air. Meng Ao, this is an internal matter of the Ling family. How dare you interfere? Ling Yunxiang roared, and his face was extremely ugly. Old man, fuck you. If you dare to attack the young master, you're disrespecting the royal highness. I'm going to beat you, old dog. Meng Ao stood in the air with the sky piercer in his hand. His aura was extremely violent, and his hair and beard were flying. His eyes exuded an unruly sharpness. He glanced at Ling Yunxiang with a sneer and cursed at him. Meng Ao, since you dare to interfere with the Ling family's business, you should be prepared to die. Everyone of the Ling family, form the Ling Yun sword formation and take down Ling Xiao. Elders, follow me to kill Meng Ao. Ling Yunxiang flew into a rage. His face turned red as he roared. His eyes revealed an incomparably fierce killing intent. Everyone, today is an internal matter of the Ling family. Ling Xiao has offended his superiors, and he deserves to die. I hope everyone will give the Ling family some face and not interfere. The Ling family will reward you generously. Ling Yunxiang looked at everyone and said slowly. He was determined to kill Ling Xiao today, and no one could stop him. Yes. Everyone of the Ling family was stunned. Although some of them were unwilling, Ling Yunxiang was the first elder of the Ling family. No one dared to disobey him. Bush. Instantly, dozens of disciples dressed in black jumped out. They were all at least in the dragon tiger tier. Their eyes were sharp, and the sword in their hands intertwined. Their feet moved in a mysterious manner, and they surrounded Ling Xiao in the middle of the training ground. The four elders sitting around Ling Yunxiang with their eyes closed sighed deeply at this moment and slowly opened their eyes. Immediately, the ancient aura dissipated, and a powerful and unfathomable energy fluctuation spread out. The four elders stood in the air, standing on both sides of Ling Yunxiang. Their auras locked onto Meng Ao. Although only those in the celestial being realm could fly in the air, those in the 8th or 9th level of the supreme power realm could also fly in the air for a short time and transform the power of heaven and earth for their own use. The 5 pinnacle grandmaster powerhouses locked onto Meng Ao. Meng Ao's eyes were filled with seriousness. A great battle was about to break out. Ling Yunxiang, I think you're the one who's seeking death. I want to see who dares to touch a hair of young lords today. Lu Xiongfei also rose into the air and stood side by side with Meng Ao. His eyes revealed an extremely cold look. He slowly drew out an ancient sword, and suddenly his whole body exuded an unparalleled aura. His cultivation in the 8th level of the supreme power realm was fully revealed. Hee, do you want to compete in numbers? Old dog Ling, I've long known that you're famous for being shameless. Today, you want to bully others with numbers? I think you've got the wrong idea. Meng Ao glanced at Ling Yunxiang, and his eyes were full of sneer and disdain. Then he roared, "Where's the Huban camp?" Rumble. As if there were thousands of soldiers and horses rumbling, the earth trembled, and the void trembled. A fierce and monstrous aura spread out. From outside the training ground, a torrent rushed in, emitting fluctuations that made people's hearts tremble. What? It was a group of powerful soldiers in full black armor. They were tall and straight, and their auras were cold. Their eyes were indifferent and sharp. The most important thing was that their mounts were tiger beasts that were more than 10 feet tall. Their fur was pure black and shiny, and their limbs were reaching the sky. They opened their bloody mouths, and their eyes flashed with bloodthirsty and cold light. Greetings to the commander. Their voices were like thunder, shaking the sky. The soldiers of the Huban camp bowed at the same time. They looked at Meng Ao, who was in the void, and their eyes were filled with incomparable fanaticism. The 300 Huban camp soldiers were at least experts in the spirit transformation realm. This flood of steel poured into the training field. That ferocious and indescribable aura instantly caused everyone's expression to change. 300 Huban camp soldiers? They're the elites of the Imperial Army. It said that the 300 Huban camp soldiers are at least in the spirit transformation realm, and their mounts are all tiger beasts above the 3rd level. Everyone's aura is connected. If they charge, they can resist an army of 100,000. If the 300 Huban camp soldiers charge, the Ling family won't be able to stop them. I didn't expect Tiger Meng to be prepared. Everyone's eyes were filled with fear when they saw the 300 ferocious soldiers. Ling Yunxiang's expression instantly became very ugly. Meng Ao, you dare to mobilize the Huban camp? This is simply deceiving the king, and it's the same as rebelling. Aren't you afraid that the king will kill your 9 generations? Ling Yunxiang roared. He seemed to be strong in appearance but weak in heart. He couldn't help but be afraid of the 300 Huban camp soldiers. If they charge, the Ling family might all die today. Meng Ao sneered and said, Old dog Ling, I don't know if the king will take my head, but I know that you won't live to see that day. If you dare to touch the young master today, I'll wash the Ling family with blood and leave no one alive. Meng Ao's words suddenly made the Ling family members' expressions change greatly. The determination and coldness in Meng Ao's voice made everyone shudder. He was willing to do anything for Ling Xiao? Great Elder, why don't you let Ling Xiao go? Is still a member of the Ling family. He will definitely let us go. Feeling the cold aura that was about to explode, an elder couldn't withstand the pressure and looked at Ling Yunxiang with a bitter smile. Yes, Great Elder. Brother Tianxi didn't die, but he was seriously injured. Please let Ling Xiao go. Great Elder, let Ling Xiao go. Everyone in the Ling family finally chose to give in. They looked at Ling Yunxiang in the air and showed a pleading expression. Under the pressure of Meng Ao and Lu Xiongfei, under the pressure of the 300 Huban camp soldiers, they were finally afraid. Ling Yunxiang's face was extremely pale, and he seemed to have aged many years in an instant. He knew that if he continued to persist like this, he would probably be betrayed by everyone. However, he was unwilling to accept this. Especially when he saw the center of the martial arts practice field, Ling Zhao's eyes were indifferent. His white robe fluttered as if he was the center of the world, extraordinary and otherworldly. Chapter 177. Ninth Prince, Great General, Meng Ao secretly mobilized the Huban camp and committed a heinous crime. Please uphold justice for the Ling family. Ling Yunxiang turned to the 9th Prince and Chen Weishan with a pleading look. Elder Ling, this is an internal matter of the Ling family. It's not my place to interfere. Great Commander Meng secretly mobilized the Huban camp. Whether he committed a crime or not, it's not up to me to decide. Xia Yunran said with a faint smile, completely removing himself from the matter. What a joke! The Ling family was now a whirlpool. Before the situation was clear, the 9th Prince naturally couldn't involve himself. Furthermore, Ling Xiao, a peerless genius, had piqued the 9th Prince's interest. He was far more valuable than Ling Yunxiang and Ling Tianxi, that trash. That's right. Elder Ling, I can't interfere in this matter. However, I will report today's matter to the king. The king will definitely punish Meng Ao severely. Chen Weishan and the 9th Prince were in agreement. Their voices had a faint sense of alienation and they looked at Ling Yunxiang with a fake smile. When the other clan leaders met Ling Yunxiang's gaze, they hurriedly avoided it, especially the few who had flattered Ling Yunxiang the most. At this moment, they all lowered their heads very low. No one was willing to meddle in other people's business. Let him go! Ling Yunxiang's gaze instantly became miserable. He waved his hand weakly and looked even older. These 3 words were practically spat out from the gaps of his teeth. It could be seen how unwilling he was in his heart. However, no matter how unwilling he was, what could he do? Ling Yunxiang's gaze towards Ling Xiao was filled with cold, murderous intent. If looks could kill, Ling Yunxiang would have already turned Ling Xiao into ashes. His hatred for Ling Xiao had reached the extreme. Everyone in the Ling family also heaved a sigh of relief. They put away their weapons and retreated, looking at Ling Xiao with reverence. Uncle Lu, Uncle Meng, many thanks. Ling Xiao looked at Lu Xiongfei and Meng Ao in the air and smiled. These two people were able to stand up at such a crucial moment, especially Meng Ao, who was loyal to the Demon Lord and didn't hesitate to mobilize the Huban camp. Ling Xiao's heart was filled with respect. However, it's not up to you today. You are willing to let me go, but I won't let you go. Old dog Ling, come out and die. A cold light flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes as he pointed at Ling Yunxiang and shouted. What? Everyone was shocked. Ling Xiao actually wanted to challenge Ling Yunxiang? Ling Yunxiang was not Ling Tianxi. Ling Yunxiang's cultivation had reached level 9 of the Grandmaster realm. Even in the entire royal capital, he was a famous expert. Although Ling Xiao was extremely talented and could suppress Ling Tianxi in one move, it did not mean that he could challenge Ling Tianxi. As expected of a young man. Once he achieved something, he would forget himself. Someone shook his head and sighed. Ling Yunxiang's gaze turned cold. He was about to explode from anger. He had already let go of Ling Xiao, but he did not expect that Ling Xiao would still challenge him. Could it be that this brat really thought he had the ability to challenge him? Young lord, where there's life, there's hope. With your aptitude, you'll be able to enter the Grandmaster realm in a few years. By then, killing this old dog will be a piece of cake. Don't be impulsive. Lu Xiongfei was shocked and hurriedly said, That's right. Young lord, although this old man isn't a good person, he's very strong. Even I don't have the confidence to take him down. Don't be too impulsive. Meng Ao also advised, but he was slightly disappointed. The young lord was very talented, but he was a little carried away. After all, he was only at the first level of the Dragon Tiger realm. Challenging Ling Yunxiang, who was at the 9th level of the Grandmaster realm, was simply courting death. Ling Xiao was indeed a young man. Uncle Lu, Uncle Meng, you don't have to worry about this. Old dog Ling has harmed me again and again. I must kill him today. He's dead meat today. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a faint sharpness. They were calm and deep. He took a step forward, walked in front of Ling Tianxi, and stepped on Ling Tianxi's chest. What are you doing, you little bastard? Let go of Tianxi. Ling Yunxiang was shocked, and his eyes revealed a trace of shock and anger. He was afraid that Ling Xiao would kill Ling Tianxi. Ling Yunxiang, ask yourself, if my father wasn't the Demon Lord and obtained a large amount of cultivation resources for you, would you have the status you have today? Ling Xiao's eyes were clear, and there was a sense of passion in his voice. But after my father disappeared, you wanted to support your grandson to the position of the Demon Lord. Not only did you send me to the Changsun sect, but you also secretly harmed me time and time again. How can a heartless thing like you still have the face to call yourself the great elder of the Ling clan? Today, we'll settle the old and new grudges. Old dog Ling, come down and accept your death. I'll personally send you on your way. Ling Yunxiang was so angry that he laughed and said, Good. Little bastard, since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish. Boom. A powerful aura spread out in a mighty manner. Ling Yunxiang descended from the void step by step, his eyes revealing an incomparably blazing killing intent. Ling Xiao was courting death and wanted to challenge him. This was exactly what Ling Yunxiang wanted. So he decided that he must crush Ling Xiao's bones and scatter his ashes to vent the hatred in his heart. What is he doing? He wants to challenge Ling Yunxiang? At this moment, Xia Hongxiu, who was originally stunned on the spot, also came to her senses. Her eyes revealed a trace of disbelief. Meng Ao's body moved, and he was about to rush down with the sky piercer in his hand, but he was pulled back by Lu Xiongfei instantly. Tiger, young master isn't a reckless person. Since he dares to challenge Ling Yunxiang, he must have a certain degree of confidence. Let's wait and see. If young master can't beat him, it won't be too late for us to make a move then. Meng Ao thought for a moment, and finally stopped and did not make a move. But his aura condensed, and his gaze landed on Ling Yunxiang and Ling Xiao. It was as if he would instantly make a move as long as something went wrong. Ling Xiao looked at Ling Yunxiang, and his eyes revealed a trace of unparalleled battle intent. He wanted to see where the limit of his combat power was. the unprecedented 10th layer of the complete realm, in addition to the sky-devouring secret skill and the ancestral dragon secret skill, as well as Ling Xiao's 7 limits divine technique of devouring heaven and destroying earth. Although Ling Xiao was only at the first layer of the Dragon Tiger realm, it gave him the qualifications to challenge Ling Yunxiang. He wanted to kill Ling Yunxiang in a fair and square manner. He wanted to use this battle to elevate himself to a higher level, allowing him to break through to the next realm. The wind between heaven and earth stopped. The atmosphere seemed to have frozen, and an oppressive aura spread between heaven and earth, making people feel breathless. As if it was the prelude to a storm, everyone couldn't help but hold their breaths. This is the aura, it's too similar. Who is he? In the golden carriage, the moon goddess was shrouded in a dazzling radiance. Her face was peerless and otherworldly. Her brows were slightly knitted, and there was a faint brilliance in her eyes. She seemed to have caught a kind of aura, and her beautiful eyes looked at Ling Xiao through the curtain with a trace of curiosity. Chapter 178. Ling Xiao stood in the middle of the training field with a faint glow in his eyes. Although Ling Yunxiang looked very old, his body had an aura that was as deep as the sea, unfathomable. Furthermore, Ling Xiao also felt a vague yet familiar fluctuation from Ling Yunxiang's body. This is the aura of an assassin from the underworld? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. When he looked carefully, he realized that the aura had disappeared. If not for Ling Xiao's powerful mental strength, he would not have noticed the fluctuation on Ling Yunxiang's body. Could it be that Ling Yunxiang is also an assassin from the underworld? Ling Xiao's body trembled, and his eyes sharpened. If that was the case, it meant that Ling Yunxiang had an unclear relationship with the underworld. It also proved why Ling Yunxiang could easily find an assassin from the underworld. Ling Yunxiang's eyes were filled with a cold and cruel murderous intent. He did not know where Ling Xiao got his confidence from to challenge him. However, Ling Yunxiang knew that Ling Xiao's cultivation was only at the first level of the Dragon Tiger realm. No matter how monstrous his talent was, he would definitely die in the end. A cold aura filled the air, and a murderous intent appeared in the training field. However, at this moment, an old laugh suddenly rang out. It was deep and clear, and everyone could not help but feel refreshed. Ha! I didn't expect the Ling family to be so lively today. Elder Ling, I came uninvited. I hope you don't blame me. In the distance, a group of figures with powerful auras strolled over. Each of them had a cold and indifferent expression on their faces. He Qing was dressed in a black robe. His aura surged, and he walked over with a majestic gait. There was a faint smile on his face, but it was very cold. It made people's hearts tremble. Behind him, with Shi Tianluo as the leader, were more than 10 dignified disciples of the Wanshou sect. The men were very handsome, and the women were very beautiful. However, their expressions were very arrogant as they looked at the crowd. So it's Elder He. We didn't come out to greet you. I hope Elder He won't blame us. Ling Yunxiang's gaze moved away from Ling Xiao. When he saw He Qing and the others, he was instantly shocked, and a bright smile appeared on his face. When the people from the Wanshou sect had come to the capital city, Ling Yunxiang had also paid them a visit, so he had met He Qing once. When the crowd saw the people from the Wanshou sect, they were all shocked. The Wanshou sect was a famous martial holy land in the entire 8 Desolates region. It was on par with the Sun and Moon Star sect. All of its disciples were martial Dao geniuses. The Wanshou sect had a high status. Even the royal family of the wasteland treated them with respect. Today, they actually came to the Ling family to congratulate them. When did the Ling family have such great prestige? Greetings, Elder Crane. Greetings, Elder Crane. On the stone steps, led by the 9th Prince Xia Yunran, Chen Weishan, and the other clan heads did not dare to be negligent. They all cupped their fists and bowed. Everyone, there's no need to be so courteous. The reason I'm here today is because I have a personal matter to settle. Of course, I would also like to invite all of you to be my witnesses. He Qing smiled faintly and raised his hand into the air. Instantly, a vast amount of energy surged forth. Everyone could not help but stand up straight, Everyone's heart trembled. Was this the power of a heaven realm cultivator? In the face of such a vast amount of energy, even a master realm cultivator would not be able to resist. He Qing's display of power immediately caused a deep sense of respect in everyone's hearts. Oh, Elder Crane, I wonder what business you have with the Ling family? As long as you say it, the Ling family will definitely do it for you. Ling Yunxiang's face was full of flattery, and his spirit was greatly lifted. If he could hold onto He Qing's thigh, then what was Ling Xiao to him? At that time, if he wanted to kill Ling Xiao, Meng Ao would not dare to stop him. Even the royal family of the wasteland region did not dare to offend the Wanshou sect. Whoever dared to meddle in other people's business was simply courting death. Ling Yunxiang seemed to have seen the hope of revenge. He could not help but feel excited. Elder Ling, 3 days ago, a disciple of the Wanshou sect died in Qinghua City. I came to the Ling family today to ask Elder Ling to help me find the culprit. He Qing said faintly. His old eyes seemed to be shining as he slowly scanned the surroundings. Finally, he paused slightly on Ling Xiao. What? A disciple of the Wanshou sect was killed? He Qing's words were like a sudden clap of thunder, instantly causing everyone to be extremely shocked. A disciple of the Wanshou sect, in terms of status, was more honorable than a prince of the wasteland ancient kingdom. How could he be killed? Moreover, from what He Qing said, it seemed like he already had a lead on the murderer. Who would have the guts to kill a disciple of the Wanshou sect? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed, and the corners of his mouth curled into a smile. He knew that the news of him killing Shi Wuxin had probably been exposed. After all, a few days had passed. No matter how slow the Wanshou sect was, they would definitely have found out that it was him. However, Ren Tianxing and his daughter, as well as the people from the Sky Escort Agency, had already left Qinghua City, so Ling Xiao had nothing to worry about. What? Someone actually dared to kill a disciple of the Wanshou sect? Who exactly is it? It's a heinous crime. Ling Yunxiang's face was filled with shock as he spoke with righteous indignation. I believe that Elder Ling must be very familiar with the murderer because he is from the Ling family. His name is Ling Xiao. He Qing said calmly. Finally, his gaze suddenly fell on Ling Xiao. His gaze was majestic and mysterious, as though he wanted to see through Ling Xiao's heart. What? This news was like a clap of thunder in the void. Everyone was instantly stunned. Everyone's eyes were instantly focused on Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao's cultivation was only at LV1 of the Dragon Tiger realm. How could he kill a disciple of the Wanshou sect? However, when everyone recalled that Ling Xiao had just severely injured Ling Tianxi, who was at LV9 of the Dragon Tiger realm, they fell silent. Ling Xiao really had the ability to kill. However, to He Qing's disappointment, Ling Xiao was not intimidated by his gaze. He was still extremely calm and indifferent. Ling Xiao, the person you killed 3 days ago in Qinghua City, was called Shi Wuxin. He was my younger brother. Today, I will make you pay for my brother's life. Shi Tianluo walked out. His gaze, which was as cold as a blade, fell on Ling Xiao, containing a trace of undisguised killing intent. The powerful cultivation of LV6 of the Grandmaster realm erupted from his body, causing the entire martial arts practice field to tremble. He is Shi Tianluo? I heard that he is a true disciple of the Wanshou sect, one of the 7 disciples of the Wanshou sect. He is extremely talented. I didn't expect him to have such a terrifying cultivation. Someone could not help but exclaim when he recognized Shi Tianluo's identity. He is Shi Tianluo? Look at his age, he is not even 30 years old, right? He is not even 30 years old, but he has already reached LV6 of the Grandmaster realm. He is indeed a monster. Ling Xiao actually dared to kill his younger brother? Is he really not afraid of death? Ling Xiao is dead this time. That's right. If he offends the Ling family, he still has Meng Ao to support him. However, if he offends the Wanshou sect, he will definitely die. No one can save him. What a pity. Ling Xiao's talent is not bad, but why did he offend the Wanshou sect? The crowd whispered and looked at Ling Xiao with a trace of sympathy. Chapter 179. Who is Shi Wuxin? I've never heard of this name before. Even if you're from the Wanshou sect, you can't just pin a crime on others, right? Ling Xiao laughed coldly. Of course, he wouldn't admit that he killed Shi Wuxin. Anyway, Shi Wuxin had already been burned to ashes by him. Dead men tell no tales, and he wasn't afraid that the Wanshou sect would find any evidence. Ling Xiao, I knew you'd deny it. Shi Tianluo laughed coldly. He looked behind him and said, Bring him here. The disciples of the Wanshou sect brought a very tall and sturdy man. He looked very miserable at the moment. His body was covered with many scars, his face was very pale, and there was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. When he saw Ling Xiao, his face was filled with shame. He knelt down with a thud. Young Master Ling, I've let you down. You saved the entire Sky Escort Agency. You're our savior. Even if I, old Zhang, am willing to sacrifice my life, I won't be able to repay your kindness. When they came to capture me, I already made up my mind. Even if I die, I won't betray you. But young Master Ling, they used my 90-year-old mother and my 3-year-old son to threaten me. If I didn't come forward to identify you, they would kill my whole family. Young Master Ling, I've let you down. The burly man was sobbing as he kowtowed to Ling Xiao. His forehead was stained with blood, and his eyes were filled with pain. Ling Xiao knew this burly man. He was one of the escorts in the Sky Escort Agency. His name was Zhang Kai, and he used to chat, drink, and eat with Ling Xiao. He was a very forthright man. When Ling Xiao saw him, his gaze turned cold. He looked at Shi Tianluo with murderous intent. How could he not see that Zhang Kai had been tortured? He was covered in wounds, and his cultivation was almost crippled. The Wanshou sect really deserved to die. Cut the crap. Tell me everything that happened 3 days ago, word for word. As long as you say it, as long as you testify against Ling Xiao, I promise I won't touch a single hair on your family. Otherwise, you know the consequences. Shi Tianluo kicked Zhang Kai. His eyes were filled with cold disgust. Zhang Kai spat out another mouthful of blood as he was kicked several feet away by Skyfall Snake. His eyes were filled with humiliation and anger. Old Zhang, just say it. I won't blame you. Ling Xiao took a deep breath and said, This man made of iron refused to say anything even after being tortured. However, his parents, wife, and children were being threatened. That kind of painful look on his face made Ling Xiao quite moved. Let old Zhang go. If you have any problems, come at me. Ling Xiao stared at Shi Tianluo with a sharp glint in his eyes. There was a cold, murderous intent in his eyes. Let him go? Who do you think you are? How dare you order me around? Shi Tianluo sneered. He stared at Ling Xiao and said, Do you know pain now? You should have known this day would come when you killed my brother. If you want to save him, then kneel down and kowtow to me. Otherwise, he will definitely die. Shi Tianluo stepped on Zhang Kai's face, and a cold, murderous intent locked onto Zhang Kai. He stared at Zhang Kai with a mocking gaze. Young Master Ling, I've let you down. I deserve to die. Zhang Kai's face was filled with pain. Tears of blood flowed down his face and dyed the ground red. It was a ghastly sight. Shi Tianluo, I will definitely kill you. Ling Xiao growled, and the coldness in his eyes became even more intense. He had never wanted to kill someone as badly as he did at this moment. Shi Tianluo had crossed his bottom line, and in Ling Xiao's heart he was already on the must-kill list. Everyone looked at Zhang Kai with pity in their eyes. At the same time, there was a kind of anger in their hearts. Killing someone was just a matter of nodding his head. Why did he have to humiliate him like this? Did this group of people from the Wanshou sect really think that they were high and mighty gods? Ling Xiao, there is a limit to my patience. If you don't kneel down, I'm afraid that I might accidentally use some force and crush this guy's head. You have to think carefully. Do you really want him to die? Shi Tianluo said sinisterly. His heart was filled with an inexplicable pleasure. He enjoyed this kind of torturing the most, especially when he saw Ling Xiao in pain, anger, and helplessness. It gave him a kind of sick enjoyment. Ling Xiao clenched his fists tightly. The murderous intent in his eyes was almost tangible. He stared at Shi Tianluo, and a strong aura emanated from his body. Young Master Ling, don't. Zhang Kai's face was filled with shame and pain. Veins popped out all over his body, and his fingernails dug into the ground. He was in extreme pain. Suddenly, Zhang Kai seemed to have made a difficult decision. He glanced at Ling Xiao and said, "Young Master Ling, I've let you down. You can't kneel down to this bastard. Old Zhang, I've let you down. I'll be a cow or a horse in my next life and repay your great kindness." Boom. A strong aura exploded from Zhang Kai's body as if he was burning his life force. He suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood, and his eyes dimmed instantly. Zhang Kai forced a smile at Ling Xiao. There was a hint of relief and longing in his eyes, and he completely stopped breathing. Even Shi Tianluo didn't notice that Zhang Kai was already prepared to die. He decisively severed his own heart meridian, and even he couldn't stop it in time. "You're asking for death." Shi Tianluo was furious. A terrifying force exploded from his feet, and Zhang Kai's corpse instantly exploded into a bloody mist. Zhang Kai's death seemed to have made him feel the greatest humiliation. Only this could vent the hatred in his heart. Ling Zhao's eyes instantly became bloodshot. "Shi Tianluo, I'm going to kill you." Ling Xiao let out a loud roar and went completely berserk. Boom! A terrifying aura exploded from Ling Zhao's body. Golden divine light filled the air, and it was as if a sun had exploded, shaking the heavens and earth. Ling Xiao walked out from the divine light, exuding a peerless aura. The murderous intent in his eyes seemed to have materialized. His entire body was surging with vitality, and it shot straight into the clouds. A strong wave of energy gathered in his fist. Accompanied by golden lightning, Ling Xiao flew across the sky and punched toward Shi Tianluo. Ling Xiao was completely enraged. There was only Shi Tianluo in his eyes now. He only wanted Shi Tianluo to die. Once he thought of Zhang Kai's eyes before he died, Ling Xiao was so angry that he wanted to go crazy. "Good timing. Ling Xiao, you killed my brother. Today you'll pay with your life for him." Chapter 180. Boom. The void shook as heaven and earth roared. Everyone felt their ears buzzing as their blood and chi surged. Airwaves swept out in all directions as heaven and earth seemed to have turned into a sea of divine light. In the sky, a black divine light collided with a golden figure. Kacha! The divine light was like lightning as it pierced through the sky. In the middle of the terrifying battlefield, the two figures flew back at an even faster speed. Ling Xiao stepped on the golden clouds as his black hair fluttered. The light in his eyes was like a sharp sword as it pierced through the sky. With his cultivation at the first level of the Dragon-Tiger realm, he forcefully stopped in midair. He was like a cub of a divine beast as he emitted an aura that made heaven and earth tremble. This punch was actually evenly matched. As for Shi Tianluo, his eyes were filled with astonishment. Ling Xiao was only at the first level of the Dragon-Tiger realm, but he was evenly matched with him. Moreover, the violent aura emitted from Ling Xiao's body made his arms numb. The violent physical strength was not something a human could possess. It was like a powerful Archean ferocious beast. His blood and chi were so strong that it made heaven and earth change color. King Kong descends, demon-slaying fist. Kill, kill, kill. Ling Xiao spat out the word, kill, 3 times in a row. His eyes were burning with murderous intent, containing a monstrous fury. At this moment he did not stop at all and charged towards Sky Snake descent. Rumble. Behind Ling Xiao, a golden ocean exploded. Chaotic mist filled the air, and a peerless figure stood tall between heaven and earth. Divine light surged, and a fist blasted forward. Like an Archean divine mountain, it made heaven and earth change color and dimmed the sun and moon. It emitted a peerless force that could shatter heaven and earth. Ling Xiao unleashed his secret skill of the ancestral dragon. His aura increased by 2 times, like a volcano that could incinerate the heavens and destroy the earth, erupting. What? Shi Tianluo's expression changed. He did not expect Ling Xiao's strength to skyrocket again. He emitted a wave that made his scalp tingle. Heavenly Snake King Fist, devour the heavens and sun. Shi Tian Luo roared as well. His eyes were filled with killing intent. As one of the 10,000 Beasts' 7 scions, he naturally had the pride of a peerless genius. Therefore, no matter how strong Ling Xiao was, he still had his own pride. The Heavenly Serpent King Fist was a peerless Earth-class martial art of the Wanshou sect. It contained the power of the ancient Heavenly Serpent, and it was extremely terrifying. Rumble. Black lightning filled the air, and endless black light surged behind Shi Skyfall. It was as if a huge heavenly snake had appeared. Its blood-red eyes flickered, and it emitted a ferocious light that overflowed into the heavens. Vajra subduing Devil Fist versus Heavenly Snake King Fist. Ling Xiao even unleashed his Dragon Berserk mystical ability. His physical strength caused heaven and earth to tremble as he collided with sky-descending snake. Boom, boom, boom. Ling Xiao and Shi Skyfall's figures seemed to have transformed into rays of light that filled the sky. They constantly collided in the void, erupting with waves that made one's blood boil. Everyone could only see that above the void, the golden figure and the black heavenly snake were colliding and fighting, emitting a destructive aura. Silence. The entire martial arts practice field was dead silent. Everyone's eyes were filled with disbelief, and they were completely stunned. Even if Ling Xiao had defeated Ling Tianxi with a single punch, even if Ling Xiao had displayed exceptional talent, even if they had overestimated Ling Xiao's strength. However, they still realized that Ling Xiao's strength was far beyond their imagination. A level 1 Dragon Tiger Realm martial artist is on par with a level 6 Grandmaster? Oh my god, what's wrong with this world? Am I dreaming? How can Ling Xiao be so strong? That's Shi Skyfall, one of the 7 disciples of the Wanshou sect. He's a peerless genius of the Wanshou sect. How can Ling Xiao have such terrifying combat strength? So he's really confident. What's Ling Tianxi to him? I suspect that even if Ling Yunxiang were to attack, he would be suppressed by Ling Xiao. So we were wrong. Ling Xiao is the peerless genius. His talent is simply unprecedented. Could it be that a young king is about to rise? This is crazy. After a short moment of dead silence, the entire martial arts practice field was in an uproar. Young master is actually so abnormal. Oh my god, that's Shi Skyfall. Even I might not be a match for him. Young master is too fucking fierce. Meng Ao's eyes were wide open, and his eyes were filled with surprise and joy. He was so excited that his face was flushed. I didn't expect it either. Young master is really too abnormal. Lu Xiongfei also laughed bitterly. A few months ago at the Changsun sect, although he knew that Ling Xiao was extremely talented, talent did not represent strength. Now, the strength that Ling Xiao displayed had become so terrifying. A level 1 Dragon Tiger Realm martial artist is actually on par with Shi Skyfall in terms of physical strength? Could it be that this brat is a demon king in human form? Ling Qingqing's eyes were also wide open. Ling Xiao had given her too many surprises today, one after another. Until now, she had almost been smashed into a daze. As for Ling Yunxiang, his face was filled with disbelief, and there was even a hint of fear. How can this little bastard be so strong? It's impossible. He's just a piece of trash. How can he have such powerful combat strength? Ling Yunxiang gritted his teeth, and his eyes were red. At the same time, he recalled Ling Xiao's words. With such terrifying combat strength, Ling Tianxi's talent was a joke in front of Ling Xiao. No wonder he dared to return to the Ling family alone. Unknowingly, he already had the strength to look down on the entire Ling family. However, everyone's shock added together could not compare to Xia Hongxiu's. Xia Hongxiu stared at the two figures clashing in the sky, and her pretty face was completely pale. Ling Zhao's words kept replaying in her mind. She recalled Ling Zhao's calm tone when he said that they were not from the same world. That's right, they were not from the same world. It's just that I, Xia Hongxiu, am not worthy of him. It's not that Ling Xiao is not worthy of me. Xia Hongxiu's body trembled, and her mouth was filled with bitterness. At this moment, When she recalled her willful and arrogant words, it was like a loud slap to her face. What exactly did he go through in 3 years to become like this? Xia Hongxiu could not help but think. She could not help but raise her head to look at that peerless youth. However, at the same time, she felt empty in her heart, as if she had lost something extremely precious. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.